Hello, everybody, and welcome to your All In Texas review podcast. I want to get this out of the way straight away. What a show! What a goddamn show this was. I was a bit worried in the middle for reasons that we will talk about imminently, but they pulled it out the bag. They landed the plane, as I've seen so many people talk about online, and I am very excited to talk about it with Dory. She is back again. She missed the preview that I did with Justin, our producer, but she is back and ready to talk about this show, aren't you?
Absolutely, I am. I'm so excited. Honestly, both of you could lie to my face right now and tell me that you predicted all of All In, and I would believe you. I would just have to believe you because I started listening to the podcast, and Summer Games Done Quick came out, and I've just been absolutely swamped by trying to keep up with that. So I did not have a chance to watch the episode more than 10, 15 minutes or something. So yeah, I'm super excited. Spoilers. This is probably my pay-per-view of the year, if not second placed. It's very close. It's actually perfectly mathematically tied because I'm a big fucking nerd with Revolution. But I think this one had a better payoff and a better conclusion, better main event, of course. So by a lot. So I probably have to give it to this, even though Revolution had more 5-star matches. But we'll talk about it. This was an excellent pay-per-view either way. I'm so glad I got to see it. Some of the matches I actually rewatched with Kim because she couldn't be there live. So I'm very happy about how the show went in general. And yeah, excited to talk about it with you, Adam.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm not sure. I don't think it's my pay per view of the year. I think it's a close second place to Double or Nothing, just because there were a couple of things on this show that were a bit sort of, lulling and sort of, a bit which is, that's the nature of some of these things. You try to get everyone on the card for, for the biggest show of the year, and inevitably, when you try to get everyone on the card, some people on the card don't show up, or show up in the physical sense, but don't show up in the metaphorical sense of they're not great. But whereas Double or Nothing, I think, was sort of overall the standard of it was higher throughout the show. But having said that, the last sort of 2 hours of this show, I'd put on a pedestal with any other 2 hours of wrestling in history. And we'll talk about that. We'll get into that eventually. I do want to get a little bit of a downer. Well, no, not a little bit of a downer, a lot of a downer out of the way first. So we do sort of have to talk about this. Scheduled for the show was Adam Cole versus Carl Fletcher for the TNT title, but it was announced sort of quite soon, quite late before the show, that Adam Cole had to be taken out of the match for medical reasons. And he gave a speech later on, just before the replacement TNT title match. And not, it's not great to speculate. We have had confirmation that it was a concussion. This man has had concussion after concussion, and the way he was talking, it really didn't sound promising for the future, did it?
Yeah, there were two moments this pay-per-view that had me on the verge of tears. And this was definitely
Mm.
one of them. I love Adam Cole a lot by every single account imaginable. He is a great guy, and you just
Yeah,
don't get a lot of people like that in this industry who are just through and through good people, positive,
yeah,
welcoming. His community members love him. Everyone flipping loves him. You
yeah.
could just see
Like
how,
when
yeah,
people sort of die or retire, you'll get a lot of people say, "Oh well, nobody had a bad word to say about them," which is almost always a lie. Nobody's perfect, but by all accounts, it really does seem like nobody has a bad word to say about Adam Cole. He is
yeah,
genuinely beloved backstage, and by so many people in the wrestling business. So
for
there was a
sure.
lot of heartbreak, on display, sort of on social media and in the crowd when he came out to sort of give his address.
Yeah, it was crushing. I don't know if we see him again, but I hope that we do. And I hope that he's able to come back on his own terms and go out on his own terms. But the most important thing, wrestling is the least important, most important thing. and real life
Yeah.
is actually more important. Hot take. I just want him to be happy and healthy and live a good life and, be surrounded by people who love him. So that's really all I want to say about that. I just wish the best for him. I hope he recovers. And if he wants to come back and is able to, and that makes him happy, great. If not, he's had a hell of a career. And regardless, we don't know. Concussions are so, if that's what it is, and it seems like it, concussions are so, they're all over the place. I mean, some people recover from them just fine, and some people never recover from them. And a lot of people are in between. So just best wishes to Adam Cole. We just figured we wanted to talk about this first because we didn't want this kind of black cloud to hang over the podcast. So yeah, best
Yeah.
wishes, Adam Cole. You rock, dude.
Yeah, absolutely. But having said that, obviously best wishes to him. We should get on with the show. We'll start at the beginning, as it were. We'll start with the 0 hour. Want to make a note, by the way, if we include the 0 hour, this show went 8 goddamn hours, which I personally have absolutely no problem with, genuinely, because
Yeah.
it started early, which meant that 8 hours didn't mean that I was sat here until 7 o'clock in the morning, which it would have meant if it started at a normal time. And B, you can get away with a long show if the wrestling and the content you are putting out there is of the quality that it was.
And it's
People are.
also their WrestleMania. Like fucking WWE does a 2-night extravaganza. They're also doing a 2-night extravaganza for, hot WrestleMania. But whatever, I digress. They're doing they do a 2-night like 4 hour, 3 hour show.
Yeah,
And
4 hours.
so I think it's fine. Like similarly genuinely think it's fine that once a year Tony's like fuck it and just goes the whole goddamn afternoon and night or most of the night. And I was completely fine. I never felt burnt out. I never felt tired. It felt like all the cool down matches were where they should have been. It felt like everything was very well paced. So I had no problem with it. Very minimal ads, hint, hint, nudge, nudge, and just really good overall amount of time for the women and for the men. It just felt like everybody got a lot of time. And so I was very happy
Yeah.
with it. I know some people are not, but hey, they started earlier in the day. I really don't think there's too much to complain about here.
No, there really isn't. And, I'm not going to sit here and say that people who are complaining about it are, shills or whatever. People have their own ways of consuming wrestling. But me personally, I was fine with it, Like I say, when they're giving such good wrestling to me, I'm really of the opinion that up to a point, if it had gone 12 hours, I'd be sat here thinking, fuck me. But, up to a point, I'm sort of like, yeah, the more the merrier. Keep it coming, especially when it's worth mentioning. You talk about the pacing. A lot of the sort of the matches earlier in the night, I thought were not. They weren't bad by any means, but they were certainly more towards the lower ebb of what they were showing us. And so, when you're sort of up at ego, it's like, okay, they're plodding this along. And just at the moment when you think, oh, maybe I'd start to get tired here, they show you something incredible and you'd be like, right, okay, perfect, we're locked in. It very much ramped up so that you never felt sort of burnt out, because just at the moment where you would start to feel burnt out, they would give you something that would get your heart racing.
Yeah, absolutely. I was locked in for almost all the show. It's always hard to balance it when you have kind of a live chat going on, and I'm a part of 2 different Discords, so it can be a struggle to keep up with that. I don't even bother trying to keep up with Blue Sky or Twitter or anything. I don't even use Twitter as much as I used to since I'm trying to
No,
wean
me
myself
neither.
off it. But either way, yeah, this was an incredible show. I'm really excited to talk about it. But first off, we do have the 0 hour, which I thought was good but forgettable. I didn't see anything that
Well,
really blew me away. The match that I really expected to deliver kind of didn't. I mean, it wasn't bad, but it just
yeah.
yeah.
Well, the thing is, 0 hours, they're designed to be good but forgettable. They're not designed
Yeah.
to be sort of, you want to keep all the incredible stuff behind a paywall. That's simple sort of business. So the 0 hours are designed to be sort of fun, fairly entertaining matches to get the crowd going and get the viewers sort of hyped for the show. Give you a teaser, give you a taster. And I think that's what they did here, broadly speaking. The first match was the Sons of Texas, God, pulling the first of their two matches of the night, which is certainly a choice that we will talk about. Dustin Rhodes, Sammy Guevara, and the Von Erichs, which, is Texas. It's Dallas, Texas. You are always going to have the Von Erichs on this show.
Yeah.
Versus Shane Taylor Promotions of Shane Taylor, the Infantry, and Lee Moriarty, with Trish Adora, and by the way, this popped me. Anthony Ogogo, who is part of Shane Taylor Promotions, is or was on at ringside. It does very much make me laugh that he seems to only work stadium shows now. Just by sort of circumstance. He worked All In London just because he's from London, and it was like, oh, well, we should get him on the card. And then he worked this here because Shane Taylor Promotions were there, and it's like, oh, well, we should, have him at ringside. So just by sort of happenstance, he seems to only work the big shows of the year.
Yeah, good for him. What a fucking worker.
Yeah, what a work. Well, I mean, what a carny, because he's not a great fucking worker.
I meant a worker in the Good Brothers sense, not in the Kenny Omega sense.
I mean, if anyone wants to seriously include Anthony Ogogo in any conversation regarding Kenny Omega, I invite them to, what was the phrase I used a couple of weeks ago? Stick a cactus up their ass.
God, back to the... I can't wait till we leave this Mid-South and Midwest so we can get away from the cactus. I want you to be sticking something else up your ass at this point.
Excuse me?
That's not what I meant. Don't take that out of context.
We're 15 minutes in, Dory. I can't deal with this shit.
I didn't realize how that sounded. Here in the Northeast, we stick other things.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
All right, I'm done.
This match, Jesus Christ. I mean, in all honesty, fucking hell. I mean, this match, I'm trying to get back on track. This match, there's not much to talk about with this match. It happened. It really did happen. You know what I mean?
It sure did. It was, Adam, when this match goes into the history books, it will be one of the matches of all time.
It really was a match that happened. I'm really struggling to think about... Dustin Rhodes' nephews came out, I guess, to sort of back Kevin Von Erich up. And also Kevin Von Erich did get to hit the Iron Claw in Texas, which, is even my sort of callous brain is sort of like, oh, that's a nice moment, After all he's been through, it's really nice to have a company that sort of respects the history of the Von Erichs and, gives them that sort of platform in Texas. Right. That was nice. But
I mean, in all seriousness, like, the match was fine. It was okay. It was it was just a very quick match. There's barely any physicality because they're trying to keep the Sons of Texas safe for the 4-way match, which we'll talk about later. And then a bunch of claws, and they won. The babyface team won. So not much to say, really.
No, not much to say. It's a 0-hour match. What can you say? And then the next match is the most 0-hour match of 0-hour matches, because, like any good AEW 0-hour match,
God damn it,
we got the fucking Costco guys back. I mean, like, obviously, there was no way in hell that they were going to have their biggest stadium show in America and not invite Big Boom AJ, Big Justice, and the Rizzler. Did you see the photo, by the way, of the Rizzler and Tomohiro Ishii?
Yes, I did see that. It was very good. I saw the one where they were body swapped too.
Yeah, that's very funny. I love, by the way, that it just seems like a sort of annual tradition at this point that Tomohiro Ishii, I don't know whether he's sort of determined that his body isn't sort of good enough anymore to work the G1. It just seems like he doesn't work the G1 anymore, and while New Japan is busy with the G1, he just comes to AEW for the summer.
Yeah,
he just sort of hangs around with the conglomeration and has a bit of fun, which, all the stellar things he's done in his career. I think he's earned a nice summer holiday every year.
That's right. A big summer holiday kicking Don Callis family up.
Yes. So yeah, I should say Big Boom AJ obviously worked the match. The Rizzler did not work the match. Big Justice sort of worked the match, which we'll talk about. But it was Big Boom AJ and the conglomeration of Hologram, Tomohiro Ishii, and Kyle O'Reilly versus the Don Callis family of Rocky Romero, Trent Barretta, Lance Archer, and the alchemist himself, Hechicero.
Yes,
Um,
absolutely. Big Hetch.
Big Hetch. Very happy. I feel like of all of the people that have benefited from the AEW CMLL partnership, I feel like Hechicero is the one that has benefited the most. And you can throw other names at me. Like I know that Mystico has had a lot more exposure to an American audience now than he did. You know, I mean, obviously it was Sin Cara, but we don't talk about that. But as Mystico, as the legend himself, he's had a lot more exposure to American audiences and stuff. But I feel like just in terms of opening people's eyes to how great a wrestler is, I feel like there's been no better beneficiary of this partnership than Hechicero.
Yeah, Hetchy's been great. I really hope that we never get his doppelganger Hechicero. That would not be good. If you know, you know. Anyways, no, it's always great to see Hechicero, and he was good here. Hologram was good here too, of course, like he always was. It kind of just, I did get far enough to hear about this. I am gonna be the one to complain a little bit, but it just made me, yeah. It just made me wish that we had gotten a Hetchy versus Hologram match instead of this, because I saw those two in the ring together and I was like, damn, couldn't we just have this in the 0 hour? I feel like All In could have used more lucha personally anyway, but that's a minor nitpick. I will say overall, the match was pretty good, whatever. And my favorite part of the match is when Trent Beretta pushed a child down to the ground. So that was great. I loved that.
He really did. And fair play. Like I
Yes.
I am used to the Costco guys shtick at this point. They had the big match at Full Gear with QT Marshall, where everyone was very pleasantly surprised at how good AJ can work a match. And we've had a couple of pre-show matches since then, so I thought I was sort of blasé to it. Not in the sense of I know some people really hate it, and to those people I say genuinely get a life. It's a pre-show match. Calm your tits. Not you. I know that you don't particularly like them, but there are some people that just
No.
vehemently hate them.
Right. Yeah, I dislike it, but it's not. I don't know. I guess it's not frat house levels. That I think that I vehemently hate. But look, I respect Big Boom on this. God damn it. On the front that he used to legitimately work wrestling. He knows his role, knows his place. I'm not going to tell him to shut his mouth. And he is, and he knows how to place himself in a match where he works very little, but everything he does is explosive and it looks decent enough. It's just really the character I can't stand. It's not so much his in-ring. His in-ring's fine. I've never had a problem with that. I just don't. I just find his TikTok character. Shut up! I find his TikTok character very annoying. Actually, I meant to mention this to you before, but guess what? On Friday at work, I work with kids, summer camp, and my two of my bosses started going like a double chocolate chunk cookie, and the poem, and I was like, are you fucking kidding me? So I was like, I can't goddamn escape it. Anyway, so yeah, I'm glad that. Go ahead.
They bring the boom, Dory.
Yes,
that's what they
absolutely.
do.
Yes, that's what
They bring the boom to you.
Hashtag what we do. But yeah, the match was all right. My two favorite moments were when Trent pushed the child, as I already said. Big Justice, who legitimately is big at this point, was pretty much as big as Trent. I think he's a teenager, and he's that big.
Yeah, I think he's something like 13, 14, and he legitimately is as tall as Rocky Romero.
That's crazy.
And then he probably legitimately outweighs him as well. And by the way, that's not enough. That's not a knock on him, by the way, because I wanna put over my second favorite moment of this thing, which is he's done it before. Big Justice got
Yes,
in the
I
ring.
was just
He
about to talk
hits
about this.
he hits a spear, right?
Yep.
And I swear to God, if I named the people in wrestling that have a worse spear than the Big Justice, a 13-year-old kid, some people would be calling for my head. Um, you know, 4 letters, one word. That's all I'll say.
It's so
But
funny
like,
too because I was like, "Damn, I guess you know who never needs to come back to AEW." But I spoke too soon
eh,
on that.
yeah. I
But no,
mean, yeah.
legitimately, this was a good looking spear from him. It and the placement of the hand and the impact and the actual contact all looked good,
I'm f-
especially for a kid
I'm
his young.
fairly certain. I'm fairly certain he sweeps the leg on the spear as well, which is a very veteran move.
God
Like
damn.
that. That's an actual proper spear. Like you will
I
have.
can't
I think.
I can't
I
wait
think
till
it's
All In 2040 when we get Big Boom. No, Big Justice versus -1 in the main event.
all the stars. But like,
All the
just to put
stars.
this just to put this over a little bit more, you have spears like Rhino's Gore, where he just fucking
Right.
runs at you, and it works because Rhino is the beefiest dude imaginable, and it looks like
Yes.
it legitimately hurts. But you also have spears like that where it's sort of it looks a bit crap. Jey Uso. Um, but a proper spear, a proper wrestling move spear, is one where they sort of rugby tackle you around the midriff, but they also sweep your leg. If you look at Cope's spear or Roman Reigns' spear, that's the technique, and he did it. And I'm like, holy shit, my dude, you're like 13, 14, and you're doing that. Keep on,
Yeah.
keep in the ring, my dude. You've got a future.
But anyway, so my head doesn't explode. The match ended with the big boom, the big power boom. I
Hmm.
gotta hate this. And they won. And the power boom, yep. And of course Rocky took the pin because of course he did. And that was it for the match. And we never need to talk about it again.
We bring the boom.
Ugh. All right, and then 0 hour, you son of a bitch. It's FTR versus the Outrunners. I had kind of high hopes for this after their collision match. I'm not gonna say it was a bad match, but as I alluded to earlier, I was a little disappointed. I just felt like they didn't do much and they didn't get enough time. Although that's weird because they had like 15, 20 minutes. So maybe it was just the way the match was laid out. I don't know. But either way, I would
I think
rather have them redo this with like a stipulation in a collision main event than what we got here. Again, not a bad match. It was actually pretty good,
it
but
was. I
I
think I think
expected
it's
more.
worth mentioning as I think it's worth mentioning as well. If you look at the matches side by side, and I remember thinking this while it was going on, it's
Yeah.
a very, very similar match to the first one. The structure of the match is almost identical, and a lot of the spots are very similar as well. So if you looked at them in a vacuum, you would very much think, oh well, this is broadly the same sort of level of workmanship that we got in the first one. But with the first one, you have the added benefit of it's in an arena, not a stadium, so the reactions to it are a lot more focused.
Right.
The crowd pops at sort of more appropriate moments and such and such. That's just the pitfalls of a stadium show. You're going to get that anyway. And two, a lot of the things it's like, well, we've seen this before. Whereas with the first one, the Outrunners had never really put on a match of that caliber before. So every time they did something sort of impressive, you would be like, oh my god, holy shit, these guys. Whereas with this one, it's like, obviously it's really impressive, but also we've seen you do it like 2 weeks ago.
Right.
So I think it does suffer a little bit from diminishing returns.
Yeah,
Plus,
I agree.
that was sort of, on a collision, like I say, that was broadly the main focus of the show. I know it wasn't the main event, but it was what people were talking about from the show. Whereas this, it's like the ninth out of 12 matches that people were talking about on this show.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, it's absolutely diminishing returns to a certain extent. I think both teams are great and they can deliver better, as we literally just saw. Um, you're always going to get that with stadium shows. I mean, I'd love to go to a stadium show on one hand, but on the other, the view almost always sucks unless you've got like the perfect seats, and the acoustics are usually I mean, mostly you just hear the crowd. You don't really hear what's going on in the ring because it's so big. So
I
that's
will. I will
why,
say. I will
yeah.
say the two times I've been to Wembley. The first time it sort of suffered from that, just because I was further back and there were more people, so the audio was naturally going to be sort of muffled. But the second time I went, I did not suffer from that at all.
Oh, nice.
I was on the first tier, as it were, the first sort of tier of the stand, and I had a very good view of everything. And the audio was great. The view was great. It did not feel like a stadium show. It felt very much like I could have been in an arena somewhere. So they can do it right. I wonder whether the sort of specifics of it being a baseball stadium and being that sort of setup usually made for certain choices that they perhaps weren't ready for, if you get what
Yeah.
I mean. But overall, like a lot of the production did pick up. I think they sort of reacted on the fly. Oh, also worth mentioning, during this match, there was a kid right next to one of the mics
Oh, yeah.
throughout the entire thing. I think that's another reason why I'm not as high on this match as
Yes,
the
that was
previous one.
I can't believe I forgot. That was another reason I didn't like this match as much. The kid kept going, "No, no,
Ah,
ah." I'm like, "Shut the fuck up." I was like Mercedes Monet. I'm like, "Fuck them kids." Like somebody kick
I
this
know.
kid out and take their parents with them. Like, and it's not nothing was really happening to warrant that reaction. Like,
No,
I don't
it
know, maybe it
sounded
was
like it
yeah.
genuinely sounded just like a kid having a tantrum somewhere. It didn't say they weren't reacting to anything. It wasn't as if like you've had kids in AEW shows before. I'm thinking back to stuff like Hangman versus Swerve in the cage, where kids have been like sort of crying and shrieking and whatever at what they're watching, and that enhances it because they're reacting to what they're seeing. This was just a kid right next to one of the crowd mics, peeking it every time, just screaming no and whatever all the time, as if they'd been told that they couldn't have popcorn or something. I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
He did detract from the match, unfortunately.
Yeah, it really
Um,
did. He was right next to it. Um, it was really, really fucking annoying. So, I don't know. We didn't hear from the kid after, so either they stopped the tantrum or somebody took him out. I want to just thank Samoa Joe. I can only presume it was Samoa Joe who took that kid out to ice cream, of course. And
of course.
yeah, of course, in his nice ice cream truck that he has in Twisted Metal season 2. Hey, look at that. We are not sponsored, but anyway.
No,
So
if they do want to sponsor us, we will happily take your money.
Absolutely, that's a great show. Way outperformed my expectations. But anyway, yeah,
Yeah.
a pretty good match here. I don't want to make it sound again. I don't want to make it sound like it's a bad match. Both teams are great, and Outrunners did lose, which was probably the right choice. But they also lost by by cheating, by shenanigans, which I think is a good move. So
Mm, definitely, it does set up another one, which I'm very happy about because under the right circumstances, especially in going into this residency in Chicago, they're going to be very focused, very hot crowds throughout. I should imagine the perfect environment to have one of these matches again. So excited for what's to come. I should imagine if they do end up doing a trilogy of these, this will probably retrospectively be the weakest one. I mean, I
yeah,
know they haven't had the third one yet, but you know what I'm saying.
right.
Um, but yeah,
All
anyway,
right.
that leads us nicely into the main card, a 9 match main card. Um, it's crazy, really, when you think about it. 9 matches, and we've had like 10, 11 match cards from a main show before, and yet this show went 6 hours. And that's not 6 hours where they pad it out with ads and other segments or whatever. That is 6 hours where it is just basically straight wrestling, which is it's impressive. It really is. Um,
Y-
but
Yeah.
they started off with, as I predicted, by the way, I want to get that in. Some people were saying, "Oh, they should start off with Swerve and Ospreay versus the Bucks, or they should start off with the women's world title match." I was like, "That's not how they operate. They always put like the fifth or sixth most important match on the card first." And that's exactly what they did. They put the trios match on the card first. The Ops of Samoa Joe, Katsuyori Shibata, and Powerhouse Hobbs versus Claudio Castagnoli, Wheeler Yuta, and Gabe Kidd of the Death Riders. This was it was good, nice little match. Wasn't setting the world on fire by any means, I don't think. It was functional.
Yeah, I thought it was a solid match, just basic fun. I love Shibata and Kid going at each other. Yuta just being
Yes.
the whipping boy as always is great. Powerhouse Hobbs looked good as always. Fun fact that I learned from Summer Games Done Quick: Powerhouse Hobbs used for the speed run, so good for him. And
Oh,
the crowd did a meat chant, so that was awesome. And
they did.
yeah, the great speed run, by the way. Go check that out. The fan interaction is amazing. They got an indie wrestler talent too. But anyway, so yeah, and then Joe came in. They basically, a lot of this match was going back to previous matches. So Shibata and Kid just wrestled each other, so they spent a lot of time fighting each other. Claudio and I want to say Powerhouse Hobbs were fighting each other, and then of course Yuta and Joe were reliving their fight question mark from Dynamite. So it was kind of a rehash match, but there was little bursts of like not being a rehash and brand new stuff or people fighting each other who I've been wanting to see. It was good. It was a great match. Like you said, just functional. It led us off to a solid foundation.
Yeah, absolutely. There was like you said, the meat stuff. I feel like Claudio is very lean meat. I think he just about qualifies. I don't think he would fit in any meat division, but if you're going to put him up a bit against Powerhouse Hobbs, then it sort of makes sense. But apart from that, like I say, functional match. So Samoa Joe got the win, as he should. He pinned Wheeler Yuta, as he should, with a muscle buster, as he should. Good match. I don't know whether Gabe Kidd sort of sticks around now, because I imagine that the Death Riders will start to implode, as we will talk about later. I don't know whether he sticks around to build a Forbidden Door or what have you. I could honestly see a potential. Well, we'll talk about it later. I don't want to. I don't want to bury the lead. But maybe he sticks around. Maybe he doesn't. I should imagine after the. Is he in the G1? I believe he's in the G1 actually.
Don't
Uh,
remember. I don't pay enough attention to NJPW.
Let me have a look. I think he might be in the G1.
Well, while you're
Wait,
doing that, the post match was pretty important and made some people nervous and some people even more sure. So I like how Tony booked this because people were like, well, if the Death Riders lose here, then they're certainly losing in the main event. And so Tony's like, all right, bet. So they lost, but then they took out Joe, and I'm like, well, now it's over. I mean, Joe's not there to back up Hangman, so I mean, now he's definitely losing. There's nobody like Joe. So
uh,
I wonder what's happening with Joe. It could just be Twisted Metal season 3 or season 2 media press, or Joe just needs a break. I mean, I don't fucking care. He can do whatever the hell he wants. But I wonder who replaces him. I don't know. I got to tell you, Adam, I'm really hooked on the storyline right now. So we'll see where
oh,
it goes.
by the way, I did look it up. He is in the G1, so that's very much a no on him sticking around anytime soon.
Yep.
But fuck, man, I just don't want Hook back. I really don't.
I
I'm
know.
sorry.
I know. No,
Um,
it's fine.
can you believe, right, when he debuted, there were genuinely people, and I wasn't necessarily unsympathetic to the idea. He debuted with such fanfare and such sort of, such hype that people were like, put the world title on him. If you want to do something really shocking, just put the world title on him.
I
And
was never in that camp. That's wild.
yeah, I know. Well, it was a different time. It was like end of 2021. AEW was an absolute inferno, on fire, and it was like, yeah, we were just like, yeah, fucking anything works, do it. Um, and yeah, and now I'm like, do you know what? Orlando calls you, my friend.
Yeah, I
Uh,
thought Orlando was calling to some other members of the AEW roster, but thankfully not, as we'll see later on. Actually, next, I
yes,
think.
yeah, it was next. I'm very happy about that. I got to be honest.
Yes, me too.
That's another juxtaposition that we can make from 2021, by the way. So I remember sort of 2021, 2022, could not stand these motherfuckers. But
And
now
now
I'm
I
like,
can't
oh
stop standing for them.
yeah, exactly. Now I'm like, thank God you're here. Thank God you're back.
Yep.
But yeah, so the next match to talk about, is the men's casino gauntlet match. And I know that you sort of had a bit of a hot take to talk about with this one, mainly regarding comparisons with another match later on the card.
Right. So I don't know what the fuck is going on, but even on Cage Match, and I know Cage Match isn't always right, it's not always wrong, but I think last I checked, it had a 6 point something. And I'm
Yeah.
like, did I watch a different fucking match than everyone else did? I guess a lot of people just didn't jive with it like I did. And I'm just not really sure why. Now I have heard some reasons, but they don't really make much sense to me. To me, this was a excellent match. What did I have as it down? Uh, I thought this was an excellent match. Let me get to my ratings here. An incredible match, actually. I thought it was nearly 5 stars. I loved all the spots. I loved all the
Wow.
people they included. I thought it was the right winner. I barely had any issues with it. There were some lengths of which, no one exciting came out. You can also criticize it that there weren't a lot of surprises, but I mean, you were never going to outdo Nigel McGuinness, and there's just not a lot of free agents right now that I think would have really blown the roof off. So I just don't see what they could have done. Maybe I'm missing something, but I thought it was incredible. I had a great time with it. Kim hasn't gone back to rewatching it, so I was actually planning on rewatching it to like reinforce my opinion and be like, yeah, I don't get it. I do think the women's is better, and we'll talk about that later. But I mostly think that because of the winner, not because of the
Mm.
match itself. So I don't know. I
I
don't know what's going on. I loved this match.
I really like this match. I wouldn't go as far as to say I love this match. There were some things that I disliked more than you disliked. I think that's fair to say. I do think that there are certain parts of this match that plodded along quite a bit. I know that they've said that it's a random sort of what's the word? Not a random order. What's the word I'm looking for? Sort of random intervals between entrants. And that's fair because then you can sort of agent the match for however you want and you're not beholden to any sort of time limit. But I did think that there was certainly a stretch in this match towards the end where I was like, are we done? Because we've had like 5 minutes without anyone coming out. And then someone came out and I was like, that's a little bit weird. And also
That's
I
fair.
felt that like I'm listing through all the things that I didn't like so we can get to the things that I did like.
Right.
I felt like it was a bit reliant on the Josh Alexander Kanusuke Takeshita pairing for a lot of it. It very much felt like that someone would come in, hit a lot of their moves, then they get shut down by the Don Callis family, and we would move on. Some parts of it felt a bit conveyor belt, if you like.
I see.
But
Yeah,
having
I didn't notice that, but I see where you're coming from. I can see that. It didn't bother me personally just because I was so excited to see Josh in the gauntlet, and
that's
I
fair.
wasn't sure if he was going to be. But and I thought him and Takeshita had some really cool tag team moves. And I felt like they didn't overdo it with the Don Callis family, like, because they only had those two members. And I mean, granted, Okada was elsewhere, and they had already had the other members mostly in the pre-show. So there really wasn't anyone else to really include, although I guess they could have, right? But yeah, I was happy with all that stuff, or at least didn't notice it. But I see where you're coming from.
Yeah, and like I say, that is by no means to take away from this, the fact that this match is really, really good.
Yes.
I think in a vacuum, this match would be much better received. It's just that you had a women's casino gauntlet match later on in the show that I think is quite a bit better, to be honest. And two, you had so many matches on this show that were stellar. It sort of pales in comparison. I think it's a victim of the show around it quite a bit, as opposed to being a victim of its own output, if you will.
Yeah. But regardless, I thought the winner was really good, and we started
Yeah,
off with Mark Briscoe, MJF. Now, I thought what was going to happen at the beginning. I didn't have a prediction for this match. I didn't. I
I
figured, by the
did.
way, that the
I
ops. Go ahead.
oh, no, I was just gonna say I did have a prediction for this match as to who would win. I was wrong.
Okay. Now I will say I'm kind of gonna contradict what I just said here, and this is gonna make me look great. I did have a vague feeling that MJF could win or could be one of the like he was one of my top choices. Him, Ricochet, and maybe like one or other people. So that's kind of cheating. I didn't have it narrowed down to one, but MJF was one of the people. I thought, okay, I think he could win. It's been a lot about him getting the title. I figured the Ops would win, so I was right about that. But a lot of this pay-per-view, as we're gonna see as we go on, I couldn't call shit. I could not call fucking shit. I was wrong about so much. We'll get to it when we talk about the women's match, when we talk about the Kenny match, and when we talk about the tag team match. I couldn't call shit on this one. But anyway, we start with Mark Briscoe and MJF, and I thought MJF would do a little time wasting, but I forgot the kind of match we were in. So instead, he immediately went for he went for roll up after roll up, couldn't get it. I figured that's when I almost said Sin Cara, when Mystico would come in. To fuck you for saying Sin Cara earlier. That Mystico would come in, but no. It was instead. It was Ricochet, which was great. And he kind of teamed up with MJF. Underrated spot of the match. Loved when MJF later on with Ricochet kind of seemingly made a pact against, I think it was Brody. And MJF's like, nah, fuck you. Pokes Ricochet in the eye.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah,
ducks the fuck out. I love when heels out heel each other. It's just so funny.
It really is perfect. By the way, you say about Ricochet, he was my pick, and I gotta be honest, I was fairly confident on it. I didn't really think for a great deal of time that MJF was winning. I was fairly all in on Ricochet as my winner. Nice. So it came as a bit of a shock to me when MJF won. Not in a bad way. I think he's an excellent choice. I think if you had forced me before the show to be like top 3 as opposed to just pick a winner, he probably would have been my number 2 choice. Yes. But I still thought Ricochet was winning. He had a good showing in this match. Not as good a showing as the number 4 entrant, I thought, because the number 4 entrant was Bandido, and for me, he was definitely one of the stars of this match.
Yes.
Fresh off the previous night, wrestling one of the matches of the year, and one of the greatest Ring of Honor matches of all time, in the main event against Konosuke Takeshita, who is coincidentally number 5 coming out on in this match. To sort of pop the crowd and retread what they did the night before. Bandido's having a really great year so far. Obviously won the Ring of Honor World title. He's been doing really well with that. Been more consistently presented on AEW. Has flourished in Mexico. They absolutely adore him down there. He had really an excellent match with Mascara Dorada on one of their shows, which I believe got a 5-star rating, which so as well. Good for him. But yeah, Bandido's having an excellent year. He had an excellent showing in this match. He battled it out with MJF quite a bit, and at one point MJF looked like he was going for the mask of Bandido, and then the countdown started. He was trying to rip off Bandido's mask, and I immediately went, "Oh, that's when Mystico comes in."
Yep. Yeah, as soon as MJF started doing it, I was like, "Oh, here comes Mystico," because like that made total sense. And yeah, Mystico came out, and Tony, we got to talk, dude. I love you.
Really
your autistic self is magnificent to behold, especially in the presser. We got to stop wasting this music on white people who can't sing this goddamn song. And I am one of them. I am one of them. I am speaking from experience. But it's like, what are we doing, bro? No one's saying it. They just did the wave thing. I think maybe a conglomeration, no, a subsection of the crowd was trying to sing it. I could vaguely hear trying to say it, but I'm like, bro, we're in Texas. We're not in Mexico. It's not happening, man. I know some of these people know CMLL ball, but it's not enough for the 29, by the way, 29,000 of them to be like, start fucking singing this. Anyway,
hold on.
Yeah,
I know. I do want to make an exception to this, which is I would like to make a prediction on this. I think at Forbidden Door in London, he is going to come out to that song, and enough British people, because we love a sing-along, will have learnt the lyrics to that, and we will sing it. Myself included. Myself included. I've taught myself. I mean, I speak fairly okay Spanish anyway, but I have sort of taught myself the lyrics of that song so I can sing along when he comes out at Forbidden Door.
Very nice.
Um,
All right. Well, I'll hold you to it, and if it doesn't work out, I know who to blame.
yeah, exactly. For example, Dory, please enlighten us. We had hologram earlier, no commander, but when they do come back, I really hope they reform. Help me out here.
Fucking hate you. I started drinking water, and I almost spit out my water. Oh God. Los Titanes del Aires.
Terrible. Um,
Yep.
it's not Aires, it's Aire.
Ire. Sorry, I always do that. I see the S and I think Ires, but it's not.
Los Titanes del Aire, but we'll give you a pass.
Yeah, sure.
Um,
Yay! Fine. Wait, never mind. Not making that joke.
no.
Sorry, I got in my MJF headspace for a second there.
Calm down, Maxwell. We're not there yet.
I just made okay. Anyway, quickly moving
Anyway.
on.
Yeah. Anyway, we got a lot to talk about. So like we had
Yes.
Josh Alexander come in. I've already talked about he did a lot of stuff with Konosuke Takeshita. Arguably too much for my liking. That's fine. I know you're a big fan of his. Good to see him.
Yes.
Entrant number 8 was Anthony Bowens, and like, look, I don't want to dwell too much on this, but like, I'm sorry, Anthony. I love you. You're a great guy. I think we should just be friends. By which I mean, I think you should just be sort of backstage.
Yikes.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
You know what? I will say something for Anthony here. I do feel like he's moving away from Billy and the 5-tool player stuff, at least a little bit, which I like. I think we did a little bit of teasing of Max and Anthony stuff, which I liked. And something that Anthony does a lot is he pulls out these random ass moves that I don't even think he's named, and he makes them look really good. I don't know what the fuck they are or like, what they're called, but it's really cool. But yeah, other than that, he was a non-point within the match.
Yeah, I mean, you say he hasn't called them. It'll probably be something like the fiddle-dee-dee or whatever the fuck it is. Like,
Oh God, that was a good one.
I just worry that the well has been poisoned for me at this point.
No, I feel you. Hey, look, when he came out, I was like, damn, why not Max? But
Every
we'll
time
get to that later.
Dory, every time he shouts Mollywop, my soul dies a little.
Mollywop, what a terrible name. But yeah, Roderick Strong came out after just breaking people's backs, being a chiropractor.
Another guy that had a very good showing, I will say.
Yes,
he's been
absolutely.
in a couple of these. He's been in a couple of these gauntlets, and it's felt like he's been there to sort of make up the numbers. But he really did go, quite hard in this match, and I thought, good on you, Roddy. Remind people how good you are, because I feel like a lot of people need reminding sometimes
Absolutely.
that Roderick Strong is actually an exceptional wrestler.
But fuck all that, because Brody Goddamn King came out to a huge pop. Honestly, one of the biggest pops of the early portions of the show. Just absolutely killed everybody with cannonballs. It was so good. Brody just fucking massacred everyone. The crowd loved him. I'm looking for that Brody King singles push at this point, because I don't think his buddy's coming back, if you know what I mean. So at least not anytime soon, unfortunately, because Buddy's great too. But let's just give that singles push, like that TNT title. I mean, I'm just saying we could do it sooner than later. But either way, Brody looked great in this match. Another person who looked really impressive.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I love Brody. Give him everything.
Yes.
But then afterwards, they sort of panned out the crowd. It was very much sort of like the production can do tricks to make you realize in the moment that, something big is about to happen. And they sort of panned out the crowd. Everything stopped. Brody was sort of looking up the ramp, ready. And number 11 was a returning.
Let's go.
Glad he's back. I'm so glad he's back.
Let's fucking go.
Rock fucking hard. Juice Robinson is back.
Without his beard.
I mean, I have questions about that. I gotta be honest.
Yes, I do too. I don't know what's going on here.
Like, come on, man. You look like
I did see a promo with him and the Guns. It looks like he's going for more of a serious character. I'm not sure why, because he was over like Rover with his ridiculous character. But
Mm.
I don't know. Maybe Tony is worried about him stepping on her territory.
Also,
I don't fucking know.
also,
Um,
way to bury the lead on the guns coming back, Dory.
oh well, my bad. But yeah, either way, this was so cool though. I'm so happy Juice is back. I didn't expect him to be back. I almost thought we were getting a returning Jay White too, but I think I heard
I
reports that he'll be out for a little bit longer.
Yeah, he had. I think the reports when he got injured was it's his wrist, right, or his hand
Right?
or
Yeah.
something, and
Yep.
it's like, oh, we expect him back fairly soon, and then the reports come back like as they can do with sort of joints like that, wrists and ankles and stuff. There's been complications. He'll be out for a little bit longer than expected. So
Right.
it's unfortunate. I wish the best for Jay White. I really want him back. I really want him when he comes back, if he can stay healthy, to have a much more renewed focus on him because I
For
think
sure.
his AEW run has been unfortunately cursed. So
Yeah.
if we can reverse that and give him, I think he'd be a perfect candidate, for example, for the unified belt. That sort of scene when he comes back.
Yes. Agreed.
I don't think necessarily parachuting him into the world title scene serves him very well. I think he'd
And
sort
let's be
of
real, he's had like 2 or 3 shots at that at this point. Like let's do
yeah.
something else with him.
But yeah, anyway.
Anyway,
But yeah, after that, the guns come out. Very happy to see the guns. They have they've avoided, Blake Monroe mind control. Um, as the
thank
reports
God.
have been. Uh, and then entrant number 12. So happy to see this boy. He deserves every possible big stage you can give him. It's my bestest boy, Kota Ibushi. Um, kicked everyone's fucking chest in as he is wont to do. Um, you know, great to see him. Not much to talk about. Entrant number 13 was the Beast Mortos because, I don't want to make the joke. It's been made to death, but, you know, he has someone very, very important lobbying for him. Um,
Absolutely.
uh,
But that's not even important because fuck creative control. What about being the best wrestler alive? The final entrant was
Woo!
goddamn, God bless Tony Khan, Max Caster. I legitimately popped for this. I
I
was
know I
so
did.
happy because I wish that they would do Max Caster in this environment, but I don't think they will because the focus is, as it should be, so much on the wrestling that you don't want to drown it down in the entertainment stuff, the goofy stuff. But TK was like, nah, fuck that. What if we got both? What if we got those good graps plus a little bit of silliness thrown at the end? And it was incredible. Max was yelling in Anthony's ears, which I appreciated. He was, fucking trash talking everybody. But Bowens tripped him. Heck you, Bowens. And the Roderick Strong finished him off.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Cheap shot.
cheap shot, perfect position for him. Come down, do his shtick. Had 30,000 people chanting, "Let's go, Max! You're the best wrestler
Yes.
alive."
Yes.
Um, but
So
then
good.
after that, it ended a bit not abruptly, but it ended pretty quickly after that because you know Roderick Strong, after he kicked him, got back into the ring, squared up to Mark Briscoe. They wrestled. Mark Briscoe hits the J Driller on Roderick Strong, and immediately MJF throws him out the ring, covers him 1, 2, 3. MJF is your Casino Gauntlet winner and has a shot at the AEW World Title, I believe, whenever he wants. They haven't specified.
Yeah,
Uh,
TK at the presser said many, and I mean many things, but he did
fuck
not.
me,
He
did he?
chose not to. Yeah, he chose not to specify. He said he will clarify what's happening on TV. But the fact that it's a heel, the fact that it's Max, and the way they did it early last year leads me to think it is a cash-in type situation. So,
Yeah. Um, but
but
yeah,
that's
that
it.
should be really. But yeah, I mean, we have a lot to talk about. We spent too much on that match. I swear to God.
Yeah, we
Um,
did. But luckily,
but
the next match, as sad as it or
yeah,
as it was,
uh,
we can probably just skim over it.
yeah. You guys may disagree with this creative choice, but fuck it. What are you gonna do? Um,
That's right.
but
Look,
the next
yeah,
match was the.
yeah.
Oh, go on.
Oh, I was literally gonna say what you were saying, so go ahead.
Yeah, the next match, a four-way match for the TNT Championship. Danny Garcia versus Dustin Rhodes versus Sammy Guevara versus Carl Fletcher. I gotta be honest, for a lot of this match, I wasn't really paying attention because, the double whammy of Adam Cole's very emotional speech and also Sammy Guevara wrestling twice on one night.
And not
Uh,
just twice in one night, 3 times in 24 hours. What is
let
the
me tell
opposite of being in the doghouse?
let me tell you, every promoter has that one shitter that they just cannot get rid of. That they just love too much. And look, it could be worse. It could be Britt Baker. Arguably, it is Britt Baker, but she hasn't been seen for months, so I'm not gonna. But this match, it happened. Just to briefly sort of say, there was action. I'm sure there was. I'm glad that Carl Fletcher got a match All In. Last
You
year
got
he
a
was on
real
the.
you got a new theme, which was really cool too.
He did. He did. It's a very good theme. But
Oh, this
we're
was the
just gonna.
match also I called wrong. I thought Fletcher, especially after that entrance and the new music, I thought he was gonna win. Although I
Yeah.
guess it would have been kind of a downer on top of a downer. Although I don't know, there's a lot of Fletchlights like in the audience. A lot of people were chanting for Protostar in the fucking
Yeah.
in the 0 hour when Renee and RJ and everybody else were talking about it. So I don't know, but whatever. Ultimately, we got to speed this along. Dustin won. Look, I'm gonna come off as a bit Don Callis here. It didn't do much for me. I didn't grow up really watching Dustin. By the time I started watching, he was pretty much already out. And I mean, I saw the later Gold Dust stuff, but that was just kind of a neutered version of what he did in the '90s. So
Yeah.
I don't have a big like love or fondness for him, but good for him. Obviously, it means a ton for him. He hasn't won a singles title since fucking 1999, if you can believe that. So good
Mm.
for him. I don't have much else to say about this match.
Yeah.
Honestly,
I
I
mean,
gave it a gentleman's 4 star. It was solid, but there's just too much fucking sadness in the air.
yeah. Good for him. He got very emotional, which, made me emotional because I was already in a heightened emotional state because of what
Right.
happened with Adam Cole. Um, you know, I I'm happy for him. He deserves it. He's had a hell of a career. Carl Fletcher will murder him within like 3 weeks.
Hell yeah.
But then after that, arguably, right? Not that anything we've had so far has been bad or even middling. It's all been fairly good. But this is where the pay per view kicks it into another gear because now we have the Young Bucks versus Will Ospreay and Swerve Strickland, and the moment that graphic sort of picked up, the crowd had been sort of subdued, especially in the light of Adam Cole and stuff like that. The moment that graphic went up on the screen, you could hear the crowd go, "Oh shit! Okay, here we go." And it was very much a here we go thing. Just to talk briefly about the entrances, Will Ospreay had another Assassin's Creed entrance. Looked very cool. I think it was broadly the same as his All In one, though. Let's be real.
It
Um,
was it was a different game, but yeah, it was pretty much the same. That was more generic Assassin's Creed. This was the newer one, Shadows, which is why they're ninjas.
yeah,
I don't. God, I wish AEW would make any other connection with any fucking other video game company than goddamn Ubisoft. But I
I know.
digress. The entrance was very cool. Good for Will.
I know. I saw a tweet that was like, "Can someone please get Osprey to play fucking Red Dead or something?" Uh,
Anything else besides Ubisoft, dude?
yeah.
Ugh, but whatever, it's
Although,
fine.
although I did see someone else say, "Can he play Cyberpunk?" And I thought, yeah, the only thing worse than Ubisoft is CD Projekt Red. So
Yeah, let's get some transphobia in there too. Let's
yeah,
go.
let's get him to play Disco Elysium. Because we want to go
Oh
full
God,
fucking
fucking damn it.
vulture
All right.
capitalism on this
Anyway,
one.
let's
But
let's talk
yes,
about this fucking Swerve entrance.
Jojo Offerman is here, and I was
That's
so
so
happy to
cool.
see
It's
her.
her second time. So she went, but this is the biggest. I'm not trying to be like cute or whatever about this, but like I think this is the biggest like glow up isn't the right word, but you know what I mean. Like this is the biggest like from one stage to another. She did some ROH announcing like once, and then now
Yeah.
she's doing a special entrance for Swerve Strickland in one of the biggest matches
Uh,
at All In,
uh,
which is their version of WrestleMania. Like there,
Indeed,
that is such an astronomical difference. But I'm not saying she doesn't deserve it. I just think it's funny. I think it's objectively funny that she went
it is
from
very funny,
way
and also
down
with
here to way up here.
and also worth mentioning. I love Shaka Khan. I love this song, and
It's a
I was
great
very
song.
very happy. was very, very happy to see it because it was Swerve's song on the Indies. He then came out to, his normal song. Just very cool overall. We're going to spend significantly less time talking about the Young Bucks entrance than the Young Bucks entrance took to do. Because
Thought that was amazing. Loved it.
yeah, it went it went legitimately like 5-6 minutes of Justin Roberts
Incredible.
just delivering this sort of 18th century screed about we will fight, we will preserve the power of AEW, blah 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 blah, your founding fathers, and I was just like, okay, cool, let's get on with it though. But this match started quite slow, I thought.
Yes, I agree with
They're
you.
like, which is obviously a very deliberate choice. Um, and then like sort of 5-10 minutes in, they did the whole sort of tag team psychology, which, believe it or not, guys, the Young Bucks can do because they can do anything. Um, but then sort of like 10 minutes in, or sort of 10-15 minutes in, uh, they sort of started to ramp it up, and then I think it was one of the Bucks. It was either Matt, obviously either Matt or Nick Jackson, went for a buckshot lariat on Will Ospreay. At which point, they decided to go from like a 5 or 6 to a 13 real fucking quick. Because this sequence, it lasts like 30 seconds. There are maybe like 25 different moves in this sequence. It's absolutely insane. And the moment that it finishes, it finishes with a combination house call, uh, hidden blade, in synchronicity, and the crowd absolutely just exploded. And from that moment on, the crowd had been a bit quiet up until that point
Yes.
for the match and for the preceding, couple of hours. From that point on, the crowd did not stop until until the end of the main event. This was like the starting gun on this pay-per-view being one of the all-time greats.
Yeah, I
Uh,
completely agree. I rewatched some of it with Kim earlier, and she really liked the match, which I'm happy about. There are some spots that she like legitimately went, "Oh my god," or like or whatever, like, "Whoa, that was so cool." And she doesn't usually do that for matches, so that's how I know it was a good match. Kim is not
yeah.
easy to impress. I don't know how I am where I am, but anyway. So yeah, there's some really fucking cool spots. I mean, one of my favorites is the early one where they do like, god, I don't even know how to describe it. They do like a bunch of kicks to each other, and then a swerve stomp, and then a bunch of super kicks, and it was crazy. There was like a bunch of like a wheelbarrow face buster apparently, and then the
Yeah.
power bomb from the
They,
ropes. Oh, it was
they did
crazy.
stereo styles clashes, Osprey and Swerve.
Yes.
They there was like TK drivers on the floor. There was like sort of Nick Jackson hit a hidden blade on Will Ospreay, which absolutely popped the fuck out of me. I was like, oh my
Yeah,
god! And he
that was
not
so
only did
cool.
he hit it, he hit it like as well as Will Ospreay can hit them. Like
Crazy.
there is nothing these men can't do. Will Ospreay went for a hidden blade, and miscommunication absolutely wiped out Swerve. Like stacked him. Like really brilliant stuff. Um, there were so many false finishes where I thought that was it. Like
Yeah,
after he hit Swerve with the hidden blade, they hit the EVP trigger on him, and I
right.
thought that's it. That's got to be it because
And they
I
hit him with the TK driver too, but he still kicked out. I couldn't believe it. I was losing my mind.
Yeah, because going into this, I 100% had the Bucks winning. So every time that the Bucks would hit, one of their sort of big finishing moves on mostly Will, I would think that's it. That's got to be it. But no, it was not because there's a moment in this match before we move on, which was just phenomenal characterization. Swerve Strickland has a reputation for being this sort of cold, calculating badass, where it's like I am above everyone. It's my house. Blah blah blah. You think about the depths of the Hangman Swerve sort of, uh, not the depths, but the the deep cuts of the Hangman Swerve rivalry, where he's sort of terrorizing his son and whatever, this psychopath. And now, just through literally the power of friendship, he is sacrificing himself to make sure that Will Ospreay doesn't get hurt anymore. And I thought, oh, that is absolutely incredible. And after that, they wrestle even more. They kept going. They never stopped. And by the end of it, they had, I think it was Matt, sort of on the floor, in a kneeling position as he is, and they hit a Hidden Blade Hidden Blade House Call combo at the same time. 1, 2, 3. The Young Bucks are no longer the executive vice presidents of AEW.
And I totally didn't call this. This was another one where I was like, I thought the Bucks would win. I was like, this makes sense. If Hangman's winning, it keeps Ospreay and Swerve out of the main picture. I mean, maybe they keep tagging for a while anyway, but I don't really see a good reason. So, I mean, do we get the Ospreay Hangman rematch that soon before the year is up? Do Swerve and Hangman fight each other? Do we have a 3-way? I don't fucking know what's gonna happen. It's a wild choice because I feel like TK could have kind of not written himself into a corner, but I mean, now how do you explain Ospreay? And I don't know. And you also got MJF, so it's very intriguing. I'm very curious where it goes. I'm not mad at it, and I'm glad that the EVP saga is pretty much done, and hopefully this is the start of the Bucks turning back babyface one more time. Probably for a, hey, we're going to wind down our careers kind of run, and not a full retirement, but maybe a kind of a Danielson-esque, okay, we're going fully part-time, we're only showing up for important shit, because wrestling's driving us goddamn crazy, and certain people especially. So, yeah, I don't know what's going to happen here, but I loved it. I loved the match. It was almost a 5-star for me. That slow start really kind of hurt it, but I would certainly give it 5 before I gave it 4. It was an excellent match. Incredible stuff. So much cool synchronicity between Ospreay and Swerve, and just loved all of it pretty much.
Yeah, it was just incredible. And then they went from this into another really incredible match, which is the women's casino gauntlet. Again, we've talked about, I put this higher than the men's personally.
And I did as well.
Started off Chris Statlander and Megan Bayne, who are destined to do this forever, and it's a perfect pairing because they are arguably your two biggest sort of hosses of the women's division, but also not in the sense where, you get the traditional hoss fights of, oh, well, it's going to be just shoulder tackles and whatever. These girls can move. And Megan Bayne, I've lost count of how many times she, did that incredible flying clothesline during this match, but she
also did a tope, which was wild.
I know, she was flying all over the place during this match, and props to her. They started off really hot, and they kept that pace going throughout the entire match, because not only, did you start off with these two really incredible women, but the third entrant is Willow Nightingale, who gets the crowd on their feet every single time. Massive pop for her, as she deserves. And obviously, you've got the story cooking with Willow and Chris. They exchange moves. At the start of this match, just based on sort of Willow's hatred, Stat's hatred of Willow and Megan Bayne just being a heel down to do anything. Stat and Bayne sort of had a tenuous alliance going at the start, which I thought was really interesting.
I don't know if you noticed too. It's really quick, and if you're not paying attention, you might miss it. I know I missed it the first time, but Stat does actually extend her hand at the very beginning when Willow comes out. Not the very beginning, but when Willow comes out and comes to the ring, Stat does extend her hand, like, are we good? And then Willow, smacks her hand away, and Stat's like, all right, fuck you. And that's when she teams up with Stat, or with Bayne.
Yeah, really good characterization. And the match continued from there. Entrant number 4, Ty Mello. Okay. She's not the main focus of this bit because she comes down with... it should be mentioned, by the way, Megan Bayne came down with Penelope Ford. I thought was really interesting. They managed to feature even more women than were even in the match. Yes. And Ty Mello comes down with Anna Jay, her tag team partner. Um, and Anna Jay and Penelope Ford brawl on the outside. It looks like Penelope Ford has the upper hand when who should return with a proper sort of cat mask and everything. I'm so happy that Harley Cameron is back.
Yeah, I mean, probably back in a limited sense for right now while she's getting her
Yeah,
nose or whatever figured out, but still back enough to be physical. I loved her Hello Kitty ass Undertaker facial mask thing that she had going on. That was great. And yeah, I popped big for her coming back. Um, and then I also popped big for Tekla. She came in.
yes.
Tekla's looked great ever since she
And she, and
debuted. I
she
know
got
her
a
debut was a little wonky, but go ahead.
and she got a massive pop from the crowd as well.
Yes, I was so
Because
happy for her.
she she is made like I know a lot of people are critical of her Stardom run, especially sort of the last year of it. She is made for AEW. She has absolutely shone so far in AEW, and part of that is because she has the perfect dance partner, at least in these early stages, and we'll talk about her in a minute. But there's a moment just before that. Tekla comes in, she hits a crossbody off the top, but as she does it, she goes, "Fuck you!"
I love on the commentary, Taz was like, I think she said for you. And Excalibur and Tony's like, no, I don't think she said that.
Oh, brilliant stuff.
So
And then
good.
she gets hit by a Paints, which is always a cool looking move. Um, but then Julia Hart comes down. She's number 6 with Sky Blue, because if you have a tag partner, you're allowed to bring them in this match, which I think is really cool, actually. Um, but like she's sort of, um, she's doing her thing. She's a really good technician, surprisingly. I did see a comment that was like Tekla and Julia Hart are flirting by torturing people because
Yes, they really are.
they were doing like synchronized octopus holds in the corner.
Yep,
Um,
and synchronized tarantulas as well. I love it.
yeah, it was brilliant. But then speaking of Tekla and her perfect dance partner, number 7, her music hit, and it's Queen Aminata. And the moment you saw Tekla in the ring and Queen Aminata's music hit, you went, "Oh fuck, here we go!" Because these women have absolutely no qualms about killing each other every time they see each other.
Yeah, it's you said earlier that they're destined to do this forever. I think about Aminata and Tekla for that. I could see them wrestle each other for a very long time. They're
Yeah,
just so good with each other. Aminata by herself is amazing, but put in Tekla, and also like the little, minute drama online about Aminata being too. I feel like ever since that little fucking thing happened where Aminata was being too stiff or whatever, or wasn't respecting Tekla, they've gone even harder on each other to be like, shut the fuck up. So it's been awesome. I've really liked the sort of the punching that they go at with each other. Queen Aminata hit this headbutt and a neck breaker and an off with her head, which I love the name of that. Only for
brilliant.
Willow to break it up. But this was such a fun match.
It really was. And even after that, entrant number 8, I I'm so happy that this crowd gave the respect that this woman deserves, because the moment that her music hit, everyone got off their feet. Mina Shirakawa comes down. Oh, she doesn't even come down initially. She does her dance right at the top, which I
Of
thought,
course, she's
yeah,
got an aura farm.
yeah. I mean, there was a lot of aura farming on this show when
There
doing the
really
entrance.
was.
Um, and she comes down and starts killing everyone with like spin kicks, and I thought, yeah, you do it, you go. Um,
Yeah,
but
she looked great too.
her sort of shining moment, her sort of shining segment was a little bit shorter than everyone else, because pretty quickly we got to entrant number 9, and you want to talk about the roof coming off a place. You go back and listen to the pop that this woman gets as soon as people realize who it is, because she has that sort of sting of the guitar at the start, the brown, and the moment that hits, everyone loses their shit, because entrant number 9 is your forever ROH Women's World Champion, Athena, in her hometown, and the reaction she got was it was heartwarming. You talk about Adam Cole, and being one of the moments where you nearly cried. Genuinely, I love this woman so much. I nearly cried when her entrance hit, and she got that reaction.
I was so happy. I honestly, there's probably some deep down dark part of me that was like, man, are they even gonna like? Are they ever really even gonna really feature her in this match? I figured they would, but there was a part of me I was like, God, I don't know what's gonna happen here. But when her music
Yeah.
actually went off, I was like, hell yeah, she's in the match. She could win it. She was my pick, and I was like, there's
She
hope.
was my
There's a
pick as well.
chance. Yeah.
And she wrecked absolutely everyone as she should, because she is, barring perhaps another sort of another woman that featured later on the show, she is the best women's wrestler, at least in North America. I can't really speak to Japan, but you know, she's incredible. She's phenomenal, and she deserves her flowers. And to be fair, talking of someone who deserves their flowers, the night before, Athena wrestled a very, very good match with number 10, Thunder Rosa. And I have bagged on Thunder Rosa a lot, and I'm not going to say that she's good by any means, but I will begrudgingly give her flowers. She looked pretty good in this match. She looked pretty damn good in the match at Supercard of Honor. Like, fair play to her. That's all I'll say.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, that's certainly something you could say about her. Yeah, Thunder Rosa came out. She did some moves. She pretended she was Speedball Mike Bailey for a fucking second. I'm not really sure why. But good for her. Yeah, I don't know. It was all right. I could have gone without seeing her again, but I mean,
Yeah, but
we'd already
I
gotten
understand
Sammy
why.
twice in one day, so.
I
But,
understand why.
but,
It
but,
didn't
but,
doesn't Yeah, doesn't matter because
it
enter the.
doesn't
Do you want to
fucking
do it?
matter. His goddamn Shuri came out. I had already popped So Huge the night before on ROH when they mentioned her, but then when she actually came out as the 11th entrant, oh my god! I'm so excited. Shuri's one of the best wrestlers in Stardom. In Stardom, that is fucking saying something. I watched Stardom for a good couple years before I stopped keeping up with it, and Shuri routinely impressed me. She's
Hmm.
so good. She's so hard hitting. She's so like technically proficient. She has that MMA background, but she's made the transition to pro wrestling really, really well. She just looks like a legit fucking fighter. And she's somehow
Yeah,
really adorable too. I don't know how that works. But
it's incredible.
she's just got everything. I don't know how long she's going to be in America. I don't know how long she's going to be in AEW. But God, I hope they give her that Athena match at the very least, if nothing else.
Yeah, I agree. By the way, I'm just sort of looking at the time. You have to go in like 40 minutes, don't you?
It's fine. I'll put it on the
Are you
background.
are you sure? Because I just thought if you need to go in 40 minutes, we could absolutely split this into two parts. If our producer is willing to do another one at either tomorrow or Tuesday or whatever. It's entirely up to you.
No, it's fine. I would hate that. I'd rather just do it in one sitting.
Okay, we'll go. We'll go. Um, but so where was I? Okay, yes. So Shuri comes down. She kicks the shit out of everyone. She's incredible. But then entrant number 12 comes down. Or they counted down, and I'm like, oh. I was sort of thinking to myself, I'm not sure who's left. And then Windsor. I was so pleased. I was so fucking happy because this is an official debut for Alex Windsor, right, in
Yes.
AEW. Um, I'm so happy. People are not ready for Alex Windsor. I swear to God.
I was
I
very excited for her. I figured they would debut her, but I wasn't sure. And after we had gotten so deep into the match, I was like, I don't know, but they did end up doing it, which was great. She looked amazing. She looked awesome in the ring. She had a great presence. I'm very excited for what she'll do in AEW.
Yes, same. Um, you know, I hope beyond hope that she gets a match at Forbidden Door because I feel like A, that would be a perfect showcase for her to an American audience, and B, that crowd is going to be absolutely molten for her.
Yes. All right. We did get to the finish here. Rosa and Mina are in the ring, and Shirakawa hits a diving sling blade into a buzzsaw, as well as a figure four. But Athena, God bless her, comes in with the O face, hits Mina, and as I'm watching, I'm like, Athena, cover
Yeah.
her, please. And I'm like, I'm such a fucking mark for Athena. The ref's going one, I'm going one, he's going two, I'm going two, and then he's like three. I'm like, She actually won! Holy, like,
I
this
know.
is the best timeline. Like, everyone
I
was worried she
legitimately screamed.
I did too. This was one of the biggest pops of the night for me. I couldn't believe that she actually won. And it was just such a great moment for her in her hometown. You can see how emotional she got. It's the best timeline. She didn't have to lose to Thunder Rosa, and she won the fucking gauntlet. So I
I
mean, if
know.
you're an Athena fan, for once, we are eating good. And I mean that in terms of like the overall company, not just ROH. Obviously, we've been eating good on
I
that
know.
front for a long
I
time.
I had resigned myself going into this weekend that like we were only ever going to get one or the other. You know, I thought if she wins the gauntlet, great, but it's going to come because Thunder Rosa wins the world title. Or I thought if Athena retains, then it means either she's not in the gauntlet at all, or someone else is going to win it. And the moment that she retained at Supercard, I was like, oh. I mean, I'm kind of glad that Thunder Rosa didn't win the title, but also that sort of kills my dream dead of her sort of winning the gauntlet. But guess what? We can have our cake and we can eat it too, Dory,
That's right.
because
Absolutely.
she won them both.
Yep. So happy. But
So
yeah, this
so
was
happy.
awesome. I hate to say it, but this next match, although it's great, we could probably skim through and be okay. It was actually
Yeah,
really great. I was impressed with it, and there's some post-match stuff. We'll still highlight
it,
some moments, but I
it,
don't
it
think
was
one needs to be belabored.
it was very much definitely the Hurt Syndicate's best title defense.
Yeah.
Um, going into it, I genuinely thought that they had a chance to lose the belt, which is the
Yep.
first time I think in their entire reign that I have thought that. Um, it's certainly the first time that I, in my sort of predictions, have picked someone else to win. Um, because I genuinely thought that. If you had asked me to rank the possibilities in this match, I think them winning, them retaining, would have been my last choice.
I
You
agree.
know,
I especially with the rumors of a father and son tag team
yeah,
title. I
exactly.
wonder if Christian like legitimately put that out there just to like fucking swerve us marks. Like it wouldn't
Yeah,
surprise me at all.
yeah, definitely. Because he is a great politica. But yeah, we can sort of skim through this. There is a spot in this match that I do want to talk about though, which is everyone is sort of everyone's brawling on the outside, as they do, and Shelton Benjamin and Speedball are in the ring,
God, Sheldon looks
and
so fucking good in this match.
he really did. It's the best showing he's had in a match since they won the title. And Shelton Benjamin picks Speedball up. He's been doing a couple of German suplexes to him as he does, but he picks Speedball up, German suplexes him over the top rope. Speedball
Unbelievable.
effectively hits a moonsault to the people brawling and on the outside, and I just sat there. I legitimately had my jaw agape, like holy shit. Because A, that could have gone very, very wrong.
Yes.
But B, it is such a superb feat of athleticism that I was just absolutely awestruck by it.
Wasted that man at least 2 or 3 times, by the way, Adam.
Yeah,
Unfucking believable the amount of talent. And he's almost in his 50s, I think, or in his early 50s. I can't remember. Just an
yeah,
unbelievable amount of talent.
I believe he is, and I am going to look this up.
Of course.
Shelton Benjamin is, yeah, he's 50. In fact, he turned 50 on he
That's right, very
turned
recently.
50.
A
He turned 50
50-year-old
on
man being
Wednesday.
able to do that. Just crazy.
Yeah, and Bobby
A little
Lashley's
older.
48.
Oh, a
So
little younger.
and
Oops.
he's turning 49 on Wednesday, I believe. Yeah, he's turning 49 on Wednesday. So like combined, they are almost 100, and
Yep.
they are putting on some like this was a really great showing
All
for them.
all elderly wrestling, am I right, Adam? Am I right?
Oh, well, we will talk about that because we'll skim through this match. Great wrestling. If you haven't watched it, watch it because it is a surprisingly great match. Somewhat surprisingly. There's some great talent in this match, but also the Hurt Syndicate defenses have been somewhat formulaic to this point. But this was a really excellent showing for them. But as we sort of said before, what's the word I'm looking for? Christian Cage goes for the spear on I believe Bobby Lashley.
Yes.
Sort of FTR, who we should mention were ringside for this match or on commentary. They get up onto the apron to sort of distract the referee. Christian Cage gets shoved into them, turns around, gets absolutely flattened by a spear by Bobby Lashley. 1, 2, 3. The Hurt Syndicate retain, which I did not call whatsoever.
Yeah,
but it's really it's really the post match that needs to be talked about here.
Yes,
because
I
FTR,
did not call this. Apparently, some people saw this coming, but I don't fucking know. Like they teased it briefly, but then they dropped it, and then I thought, okay, they're back on the mend. But then, fuck me, I guess not.
Yeah, I didn't see it coming because the reports were that Christian Cage had delayed the sort of the reuniting, because he wanted to finish up with the patriarchy, and that came out fairly recently. So I thought to myself, well, there was an entirely possible chance that this was going to happen. But after reading that, I thought, no, they'll probably delay that till down the line. But then Christian Cage is sort of in the ring after the match. FTR and Stokely get into the ring and start sort of pushing around Nick Wayne. Christian Cage tells them to sort of fuck off, basically, and is leaving the ring when Nick Wayne grabs it. I also want to put this over. It's an entirely one-to-one replication of Christian Cage's heel turn on Jungle Boy, where Jungle Boy was leaving the ring and Christian Cage grabbed him, pulled him back, and kill switched him right in the middle of the ring.
I didn't even realize that. That's such a good callback. It's got to be intentional. It's fucking Christian, but yeah.
100%. But yeah, Nick Wayne grabbed him, pulled him into the middle of the ring, hit the kill switch, and I was shocked. I really was. And I also love, by the way, that they panned over to Mother Wayne and she was sort of smiling and laughing to herself. So she's obviously the catalyst for this, which I think is excellent.
Move over, Jay White. We have a new catalyst in town.
Yeah, exactly. Kip Sabian was in on it. Everyone was in on it. Even FTR was in on it because Cash Wheeler handed Nick Wayne the chair. Set Christian Cage up for the concerto. But you think you know him. Guess who's back?
Back again. Cope is back. Tell a friend.
And he brought a friend as well because he had Spike in his hand.
That's right.
that
I'll never look at that fucking thing the same way after that match with Mox.
The thing is, right, just to briefly go off on a tangent, we really don't have time for tangents, but whatever. I remember when they debuted Spike, and I was like, that is such a ludicrous weapon that is a Chekhov's gun that will never be fired. You know what I mean? Or if it is, it'll be sort of, in a very gimmicked way where it looks brutal, but actually is sort of, very safe and not really. And then he did the match with Mox, and he did the spot with Spike, and I remember thinking, oh my fucking god, like they fired the gun. And ever since then, whenever he is seen with Spike, it's like it has this added degree of danger to it, where it's like, well, we've seen him legitimately like spike people with it now. And so when he came down with it, I was like, oh my god, someone's gonna die. But he only have fun. But he only used it, I think, to knock the chair out of Nick Wayne's hands. I've got hiccups all of a sudden. Great timing. He runs off the broken up patriarchy and FTR. And Dax and Cash are saying to him, we'll get you back, obviously setting up down the line. And I thought after this that this was going to be the sort of redemptive hug moment,
I thought so too.
Hope chucked down Spike,
and I know Christian wouldn't have deserved it, but I was kind of rooting for it anyway.
Yeah. But he threw Spike away. I thought they were about to hug, and Cope gets a mic, and he, in retrospect, this is very corny.
It is very corny. Even in the moment, I thought it was corny, but whatever.
Obviously recalling when they would tell each other to go fuck themselves, he says, "Go find yourself," and I was like, "Oh Jesus!" But okay, it's obvious. But like, it's good. It obviously sets up that Christian Cage is not emotionally ready to reunite with Adam Copeland. That's going to be the story going forward over the next few weeks. I imagine that they do reunite in time for All Out in Toronto. Like
Right.
that is
There's no way
that
they
is so
don't.
yeah, that is so patently obviously the direction they go. I should imagine as well that they'll have their sort of first match reunited in Toronto. I imagine that probably main events.
It wouldn't surprise me.
No, it would not surprise me in the slightest, just because that is a ridiculously money match. But that's all in the future, Just happy to. I am genuinely happy to see Adam Copeland back. I know that the work with the Death Riders was probably the absolute, the pits of the storyline, but also I cannot help it. I just love seeing that man. He
I
is.
think, and
He is.
also I think generally his output has matched his input in AEW in terms of him giving it his all. He's definitely not. He's not phoning it in. He doesn't just see it as another payday. Like, this man cares and he's trying, and I appreciate that. And he hasn't hit. He's not batting 1,000, but I think he's batting a healthy number, and I'm excited for this Christian and Co program. So.
Completely agreed. But now we get to talk about the arguably most hyped matches of the show, the triple
Yep.
main event, which, by the way, is a shit gimmick. There is one main event, and it is the final match. But that's neither here nor there. Whatever. You can call it a main event if you want. But the AEW Women's World Championship match of Timeless Toni Storm defending the belt against Mercedes Moné. Oh my god.
Look. All right. No. I'm gonna say something first. I'm gonna absolutely eat some crow on this. Disgusting. I was so sure that Mercedes was gonna win. I was like 75% sure that she was winning. Like, I was pretty positive that Mercedes was winning, and that, especially after Athena won, I was like, oh, well, then they're just gonna do Athena Mercedes back again, and Athena will win this time. Or, Athena will even interfere in this match, God willing, and take the title off of Tony, or what the fuck ever, right? So Mercedes never take a loss. But fuck me, no, Mercedes just lost, and she lost clean. Adam, it's weird. It's almost like she doesn't have creative control, but that can't be right. A black woman couldn't be this successful unless she had the fucking booker by the balls, right? So obviously something's going on here.
Hey, all I'll say is, if we're not monetized, if we wanted to get monetized, that JD from NY, I see him getting, I see him getting money for being an absolute shit heel. So maybe she does have creative control. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Jim Cornette, pay me money.
Ugh, you know what? They are such glory hogs, living in a whole house of glory. Those people. I know that was just a bit of a stretch, but I wanted to give it a shot.
That really was. I'm sorry. We cannot gloss over that. Fuck you for that.
But this was incredible. This was an incredible match. I don't have it at 5, and I don't even have the next match at 5, but they're very close. I mean, again, would give them a 5 more than I would give them a 4. But this was just amazing. It started off with some laughs, with Tony playing some mind games and mimicking her, and Luther making fun of her too, which was very funny.
Oh, and also Luther absolutely eating shit because she hits a Meteora while he's carrying Tony. And fair play to the man. He plays his role very, very well. There are a couple of things.
Wrestler to a butler. God damn.
Yeah, incredible. What career progression. But there were a couple of spots I want to talk about. First of all, I want to talk about Toni Storm getting Mercedes into a tombstone position, I believe countering the sort of lung blower. And for no reason, it's not like she's trying to counter a move. She's not trying to sort of, get out of any sort of predicament. She has her right where she wants her in the tombstone position, and she just bites her vagina.
This was
not only does she bite her vagina, she's basically giving her cunnilingus in the middle of the ring.
There were lots of cunning stunts going on in this
Yeah,
match, and
absolutely.
good job for Tony. Tony said she tasted good, by the way, in the presser. So
Yeah, she said all four lips tasted incredible.
all four lips tasted great. So God bless Tony.
Because there was also a surprise, well, not a surprising, but a notable amount of kissing in this match.
Yeah,
Um, I think
definitely
they
not
kissed
surprising,
maybe,
but notable. Absolutely.
yeah, maybe 2 or 3 kisses in this match. With Mercedes initiating the first one, which should be noted. She is
Yep,
more than happy to match Tony Storm's freak. But
absolutely.
we should not be blasé about the fact that this is a really incredible match.
Yes,
Like
absolutely.
aside from the noteworthy sort of lesbian bits of it, um, the the match itself is a really excellent match. There are moments that I genuinely thought 110% that Mercedes was winning this match,
Yes.
especially after Tony Storm. She'd hit the Storm Zero quite early in the match and got a 2 count. Sort of 20 minutes into this match, by the way, longest ever women's match in AEW history, or singles match at least. Um, she hits her with 3 Storm Zeros, one after another, and I completely thought that was the finish.
I
But
did too.
Mercedes kicked out, and at that moment I thought, well, there's absolutely no way. She's winning
Yeah,
now. You don't
yeah,
kick out of that and not win the match. Um, because after that, she went for the hip attack, rolled her out, gets her in the statement maker right in the middle of the ring, and I thought, oh, that's it. She's done. She's 100% done. And
yep.
then she locked her in an STF instead. And it looked really brutal. Like she was properly cranking her neck back, and I thought, "Oh my god, she's going to tap out." That's how it ends. And no, because it's not how it ends. She gets to the rope, she rolls her up, but not, that's not the finish. Um, they trade sort of backstabbers and hip attacks and whatever, and Tony Storm headbutts her, kisses her on the mouth once again, goes to the top rope, hits her with an avalanche Storm Zero for the win. 1, 2, 3. Oh, and I called it. I was 51-49, but I did put Tony Storm in my predictions, and I'm so glad I was right because I feel like it's 100% the right decision.
Yeah. I am stunned. I don't know which more I'm stunned by, this match or the next match, which I was wrong about in both cases.
Oh, I was
But
far more stunned by the next match.
yeah, but I'm very happy. I'm not displeased about being wrong in either case. I think putting the title on Monet would have been a mistake, and I'm glad they didn't do it. That said, I would have had more of an easy time believing tag titles were on the way if Monet won. But I mean, now we don't need them as badly, right? So I don't know. It's a wild situation, and you could have just not been in this situation by having Athena beat Mercedes. But whatever, it's fine. It's over. I definitely wasn't there live, so who cares?
At the end of
So
the
right,
day, I just want to say this: I fully on board with what you're saying. You can go back to our review of Double or Nothing. I think it was the wrong booking decision, but at the same time, the match was so excellent that I cannot be mad that we got it. You
yes.
know what I mean? Like
Yeah, I,
it.
I I I see what you're saying, and the women's division now looks better because of this. And people are like, well, Tony didn't need the rub. I'm sure she disagree, but anyway, she didn't need the rub of victory. Nope, that's still not going to work. But anyway, she didn't need the win
I'm
over Mercedes,
I'm sure she'd
and
love the rub of victory.
that's what the kids are calling it these days, the rub of victory. Anyway, the yeah, I mean, I agree that Tony's not really the one I would have given the first victory to, but at the same time, it's like it does prove that Mercedes can be beaten. It took AEW's strong, in kayfabe, strongest woman, their world champ, to beat her, and it's going to probably prove to be Mercedes' downfall, where she's going to start pulling a fucking Kenny Omega. She's or any title, multi-title holder, really. But Kenny's just the example I think of because he's like the most recent in my mind. But she's just gonna start losing title after title after title, putting people over. And then I don't know, like maybe she goes crazy, maybe she goes even more heel, maybe she gets the world title. Like this is way more intriguing than Mercedes having the world title or her winning.
I agree. I completely agree, and I do think it starts the downfall of Mercedes. I just want to put a prediction out there. I think Athena beats Tony Storm for the world title. I don't necessarily think that they unify the ROH and AEW titles because I think Death Before Dishonor is 1,000 days to the day of Athena winning the belt, so I think that is the absolute perfect place to take it off her. Hopefully Billy Starks, though I think maybe that ship has sailed. But I do think that Athena beats Tony Storm now. And also I think that the program that those two can have, those are two of the, and I say this with love, freakiest women to ever step foot in a ring. I think that they're going to tell an incredibly sort of uh, unconventional but brilliant story.
Yep. So on to from toxic Yuri to toxic Yowie. We're on to Kenny Omega with Ibushi by his side, which is why I said that.
Of course.
Facing Kazuchika Okada. This
Oh
dude,
my god.
Naito surprise reacted everybody who said Okada was winning. I was like, are you kidding? Like,
Yeah.
Kenny doesn't have much time left. Okada has a lot more time. It doesn't hurt Okada to lose. You want a happy ending for Kenny. Like, I just don't know how much time like Kenny has left. Like, of course, he could be, he could have years to go, but I kind of doubt that. As I said elsewhere, like Kenny Omega is a god of professional wrestling, but he is a god working on borrowed time at this point. You don't lose 2 feet of your intestines just casually, no matter how much of a incredible human being you are inside and out. So I really thought I was 90% sure that Kenny was winning. Fuck me, I guess, because he didn't. Okada won. Now I did know that Kenny and Okada were not tied. I knew that Kenny held the record over him, but my reasoning was, well, again, it's not going to hurt Okada to lose. He's been undefeated for a year. He beat Eddie Kingston. He's beaten so many big stars. He's had great matches, despite what people on fucking Twitter think. And in general, I'm very happy with how this run has been. So I don't think it's a big deal for him to lose. Plus, it's an AEW. It's not a New Japan. I know they're counting it as part of the series. Right. It's part of AEW, and it's not a big deal if he takes a loss here. If it was really a big deal, you could just have it be run back. But despite everything I just said, Kazuchika Okada defeated Kenny Omega and is the new unified champion. Obviously, we're going to talk about the match, but got to talk about that result.
Yeah. Shocking. I did not give him a hope in hell.
Nope.
I thought 100% Kenny Omega was winning this match. I thought that, I'd fantasy booked all the people that you could, have Kenny Omega go up against in his unified championship run. I did not what's the word? I did not think for 1 second. I did not just, I didn't, I tried to think of the word, it didn't even enter my mind. I didn't entertain the thought for 1 second, but here we are. Kazuchika Okada is the unified champion, and good for him. I do think somewhat. I want to get this out of the way because I know that a lot of people will be feeling this way. That this match somewhat was a victim of its own hype, just because I think the match was incredible, and I think the match was a perfect reflection of where they are now based on where they were 7 years ago. They're older, they're not particularly wiser, but they are limited in sort of mechanics, but wizened in psychology and that sort of aspect of wrestling. I do think that there were some people that sort of expected them to turn back the years and fully have sort of a Dominion level or Wrestle Kingdom level encounter. And at some points on the journey, I was there. the closer I got, the more I realized I should really sort of temper my expectations for this. But what they did do was really, really good stuff. It was very much paced. I said at the time that it was sort of very Okada versus Omega coded, in the sense of that the pacing of the match and the slow build up was very reminiscent of what they were doing in New Japan. And some of the spots that they did were sort of ripped straight out of some of their matches previously. There were quite a few callbacks. But on the other hand, the main story of this match was fully 100% Kenny Omega's diverticulitis and Okada just honing in on that big bullseye of a gut that Kenny Omega has and not letting up until it eventually cost him the match.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this whole story was built around his diverticulitis. Okada, I mean, he worked over the abdomen like relentlessly. DDTs, tombstones, gut busters, kitchen sink moves, cheap shot punches to the stomach. I mean, it was all of that. One little callback I loved was Omega hitting the missile dropkick to the back, just like Okada did. Fun fact, or not so fun fact, that's what gave Kenny vertigo, not the Ricochet move, years ago. So he said vertigo for so many years. But yeah, hit some delicious looking V triggers and dragon suplexes. I don't remember how many there were. I know they were joking about it during the 0 hour segment. I don't remember how many dragon suplexes he got, but he did get a dragon superplex, which I don't know if that was on their fucking bingo card, but it looked incredible, and I winced a lot because I was like, oh.
No, I 100% agree with you. But we should talk about sort of the finish,
Yes.
if we may. Also just to say that a lot of people were speculating that Okada was going to do the full-on sort of Rainmaker pose. He did not. Instead, he flipped off 30,000 people, which I cannot be mad about.
the absolute king that he is. Yeah, one last thing I want to say. I know for some people, this matchup, this rivalry is sacred, it's sacrosanct, and there shouldn't have been any interference to those people. I understand where they're coming from and wish there had not been interference. But as soon as we knew that Don Callis was going to be there, I think anybody who thought there wasn't going to be interference was kind of fooling themselves. That doesn't mean you have to like it. I'm not saying that. Of course, it's valid to feel however you want. But I just accept it. It's Don Callis. He's a prick. I mean, it worked for me. As soon as Kenny hit the one-winged angel and Don Callis ruined it, I was like, you shit. You piece of shit. I was screaming at my TV. Like, it works.
What I would say as well is that there was interference, yes, but also one key factor to it is that it did not affect the outcome of the match in any way. I know you could say that, like, Kenny would have got the win or whatever, but what I mean is interference was not the direct cause of the finish to this match. That spot was sort of 10 minutes before the end, and I think at that point Don Callis sort of sat down and let it play out. But there were, I believe there was only in traditional sort of Okada Omega fashion, they went over 30 minutes, and a finisher is only kicked out of once, which is that Kenny Omega kicks out of the Rainmaker sort of 25 minutes in. They build to the finish. The crowd is at an absolute fever pitch. Kenny hits the V trigger. Okada hits the drop kick. Kenny sort of counters a Rainmaker. I think he went for sort of a small package, nearly got the pin, thought that might have been it. But no, Okada pops back up, hits him with a second Rainmaker. 1, 2, 3. And I gasped because I wasn't expecting it. I thought that they would build to it a lot more with sort of like, one-winged angel attempts and stuff like that. And 2, again, did not expect Okada to win this match whatsoever. But I am very intrigued as to where they go from here.
Yeah, this was an incredible match, but it's not as good as the next one.
No,
And
it is not.
I thought that my match of the year was so locked in
Same.
after Hangman versus Osprey, but after Adam Page versus John Moxley, I might have to reconsider. I
That's
don't know. I don't fucking know. But this is so good, and this was the one of the other moments where I nearly cried. Not when he won, surprisingly, but where, well, we'll get to it. But yeah,
yeah.
this is masterful. This is pro
It
wrestling at
really
its
is.
best.
This
I yeah.
I was in attendance for what I would consider to be the greatest feel good win, certainly of my wrestling fandom, which was Bryan Danielson winning the world title a year ago, the last All In. I was there, and I remember feeling very emotional, incredibly happy and whatever. I was sat in front of a computer watching the finish to this match, and I felt more emotional, more sort of absolutely overwhelmed watching this match than I have potentially any other wrestling match in history. It's my match of the year so far. It's going to take a Herculean effort to dethrone it. And in terms of my pure emotional reaction to a match, it's unparalleled. In ring, I would still say that Bryan Danielson versus Will Ospreay is my best match of all time. Um, you know, it's hard to compare a Texas Death Match, I think, than to a standard singles match. I certainly think it's the best Texas Death Match of all time. I think I never thought in a million years that they would ever top Swerve versus Hangman for that accolade, and yet they have. Um, but yeah, this was absolutely outstanding. All the adjectives, all the possible sort of you know, all the possible compliments that I can give it.
And just early on, holy forking shirt balls, because forks, just forks to the fucking
Yeah.
head of Moxley, just immediately gushing blood, just within, I don't know, not even the first 5 minutes. I want to say the first 3 minutes, first 2.5 minutes. I just Mox then got some barbed wire, put it around Hangman's face. I was like, Jesus, literally. And Marina got in there, biting at Paige's face. There was some barbed wire steel chair, a barbed wire steel chair plus glass.
Yeah, and
Just
it's worth mentioning. It's worth
yes,
mentioning. This is one of my favorite matches of all time. I have a legitimate phobia of barbed wire. A lot of this match I was watching legitimately through my fingers, just because. And it was kindly explained to me, though I'm not sure the veracity of this, but it did help in the moment that a lot of barbed wire in wrestling is very gimmicked and it's not real barbed wire. It helps
that is true,
somewhat.
Adam. Yes, that
Uh,
is true.
I see.
I'm not saying it doesn't hurt, by the way, and I'm not saying it doesn't suck, but yeah, it is not real barbed wire in the traditional sense. I think that they snap off some of the pieces and it's not quite as sharp as normal barbed wire, but it still fucking sucks. So yeah.
Yeah.
That's
But
that's what that's what I believe happens, but anyway. Um yeah, this the glass spots were just ugh.
yeah.
And then oh, go
Oh,
ahead.
one of the more brutal moments didn't involve any sort of spectacular weapons or tables or barbed wire or anything like that. They got two steel chairs and they sort of position them like a table, right? I've seen this spot before. Um, they go up to the top, then they come back down. Hangman rearranges them so that the spines of the backs of the chairs are together, creating this one sort of deadly spine to it. And then he superplexes Mox onto it, and I screamed because of all the spots. You can go through barbed wire tables, you can even go through glass. You could do a Darby Allin, and I know that ripped his skin to fuck. But in terms of lasting damage, that will heal. Skin heals. A spot like that, you can break your back on that,
Yep.
and it's like, and it's somehow like barely top 5 in terms of the most insane spots in this match. Like,
Absolutely.
and
Um,
not to mention, you said about the glass. That's not like a glass pane. The man has glass bottles, which he then proceeds to break into even finer pieces. And what got me about this, you see that, and it's akin to like thumbtacks, right? It's like, oh, someone's going to take some sort of bump into these tacks. He doesn't, power bomb or suplex him into the glass. Moxley doesn't do that to Hangman. No, he hits him with some sort of, I can't remember what it was. It might have been a power bomb or something. Gets him and legitimately just drags him through the glass. And that is worse somehow, because it's like you can take a bump and it hurts, but like he's being absolutely shredded by this glass, and you can see as he gets up, all the sort of gashes and gouges that he takes on his back, and it was sickening, and it was awesome, and I am in awe of these two men, and the damage that they put each other through for my entertainment. Oh,
it's so good. Page hits a dead eye into the glass. There's an angel's wings. He takes out Marina. I thought Willow would be the one to do that, but I guess she was too tired or whatever. But her Twitter game was strong about this. She was very, very intense about that. But yeah, eventually, of course, the Death Riders come out, Claudio and Kid. And just as they're about to just totally overtake Hangman, Ospreay comes out, but gets taken out and stretchered out. So I don't know if him and Joe
I
are just going to
I
be
feel
chilling
like
on vacation together, or what we're doing here.
I feel like that is the perfect microcosm of the Death Riders' overarching story, which the overarching sort of narrative of the Death Riders is, we are a cohesive unit. You cannot take us out on our own. Or you're on your own. You will need to band together to take us out. If you try and come at us, 1 versus 5, you are going to die. And that's exactly what Ospreay did, He saw his friend, getting about to be beaten. He comes down, no thought for anyone else, no thoughts of, oh, well, we need to coordinate this. No, he comes down just to try and take him out. And he fends some of them off. But the numbers games, they get to him. They take him out. They put his neck in a chair and stamp on it, which is exactly what they did to Samoa Joe earlier in the night.
Yeah.
Interesting. I hope that doesn't mean that Ospreay's written off TV.
I kind of doubt it, but we'll see. One of the many moments in the match which I absolutely bid on was, and Kim and I were going back and forth. At this point, Kim was back home. She had been back home for most of the Kenny match as well. And and she was like, I was like, no, he's gonna win. He's gonna win. And then Mox fucking suplexes Hangman off the apron through barbed wire tables, hits a God style, and then gets to the Bulldog choke right after I said, no, he's winning. And I was like, fuck, maybe he's not winning. I was like, Kim's like, I don't know that he's winning. It kind of looks bad for him right now. But somehow it did not come with a Bulldog choke. The win from Moxley did not come with a Bulldog choke, nor did it come with the Death Rider into the back of a chair. At that point, I really thought it was over. I'm like, oh my God, are they really going to have him lose?
Yeah. But no, he gets to 9, gets up, the crowd goes absolutely mental. Moxley knocks him down, says to Claudio, which I love, by the way, he just goes, number 5. And you can see Claudio go, oh, okay. Like, they've got a fucking numbered list of the things they want to do for this
I
match.
just imagine they've got a fancy-ass menu for this shit. It's amazing.
Brilliant. But number 5 turns out to be, poetic as it is, a plastic bag. Exactly the way that they killed Bryan Danielson many months ago. And passes it to Moxley. It looks like, oh, this is gonna be it. And the lights go down, and I thought, oh, it's gonna be Danielson. It's not Danielson, at least not yet. It's Darby Allin from the top of Mount Everest. And I don't want it. I know people were very, very worried that it was going to be Darby and not Hangman. That they were going to somehow ruin this by delaying it for Darby. And I know Darby has caught a lot of flack for whatever. The man cut a promo from the highest point on earth. That is some of the most badass shit I have ever seen in wrestling.
It
Like
was
that
so
is
fucking cool. So cool.
like from the top of Mount Everest story.
There's hating, and then there's that level of hating.
That is absolutely insane. And then of course, um, he starts. Well, actually, did they show? Did they show it yet? No. After he cuts that promo, Mox is like, "Oh
After he
my
cuts
god, what's
that
going?"
promo, then Danielson comes out. Although I thought it was Blue
Yes,
Panther. No, I'm kidding. But he came
I
out in a very obviously Blue Panther inspired mask. Hits the Busaiku knee and just kicks everybody with a big, loud, thunderous yes chant. Adam, very interesting. Very, very interesting. I thought somebody had a copyright on that.
I'll be hearing from my lawyer.
And then Darby comes down like fucking Sting against the NWO, wipes
Yeah.
out the Death Riders with a coffin drop. Danielson fucking takes out Wheeler, that little shit. And then, yeah, I mean, Hangman drops Moxley with a buckshot, does a dead eye through the apron, and then into the apron, off the apron through a table. Easy for me to say. And then fucking Marina Shafir comes back and helps Mox to his feet.
I know. I thought that was it. I
Thought that was
genuinely
it
thought that
too.
was it. Because
I
like,
couldn't believe it.
but not only that, I said during the match that I thought that was it for a moment, but I thought to myself, A, this isn't. They're not going to change the title. This is too monumental for it to change hands on a 10 count. But B, Hangman. There is no way in hell that Hangman is tapping out. So consequently, every time Hangman would put in any sort of submission or anything that looked like a submission, I'd get really, really excited. Really, really excited. And anytime Hangman was in the throes of a 10 count, I would absolutely shit myself.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
that came into it, after Marina helps him out. Because then the lights go down once again. No, the lights didn't go down. It's
No,
just
it's not yet. So the Bucks hit the ring. They get a super kick party, EVP trigger, and Mox does the drives Page into it with a paradigm shift. And I
oh my
think
god, yeah.
the stomp. I
Yeah,
again, I was like, that's it. He's
yeah.
lost.
No,
Like
this was
Swerve
the
is
moment.
nowhere. Yep.
This was the moment, right? Because this was you talk about the Moxley going down for a 9 count, and I thought for a moment, but I thought no. The moment that Hangman Page legit takes a paradigm shift onto a bed of, God bless you, Trent Reznor, 9-inch nails. Like, and you watch it back. I don't know how they gimmicked it. I really don't. But he legitimately takes nails in the head, and he goes down. And I thought, that's it. I thought if you're going to do it, that's how you do it. You would legitimately do something that if you did it sort of in real life, that would kill someone. And let's make something clear: if you drive someone headfirst into a bed of nails, you will kill them.
Yeah.
And it's like I say, if you're going to do it, that's how you do it. And so for that entire 10 count, I'm absolutely shitting myself. Especially since, if you watch it back, he takes until 8 until he even starts moving.
Yeah. Oh, I was sweating. I just, oh god, I was a nervous
Oh my
wreck.
god.
But this is the moment where I almost started crying. So Moxley demands the briefcase, and Marina's about to like bring it to him when suddenly she can't move, and I'm not looking at her arm. I'm like looking at like her back or something, or like someone's pulling her. But I'm like,
Yeah.
what's going on? What's happening? So it takes the commentary because I was already so fucking nervous to explain that someone is putting handcuffs on her. Now, first off, kinky. Now, second off, I was like, wait, who the fuck did? And then Prince Nana comes up, and I lose my mind. I'm like, holy shit, Swerve's gonna come out, and then he fucking does, and I nearly burst into tears because it's just It speaks for itself. I don't even need to say
Oh,
anything.
that's not the moment that I burst into tears, because that moment I'm just pure deliriously excited. Like, oh my
Yeah.
god, they're actually going to do it! They're actually going to do it! And Swerve has Hangman's chain. If you've watched the promo, the vignette on Collision, you'll understand why. Swerve has Hangman's, chain. There's no deliberation. I thought there might have been like a sort of, oh god, do I not? But he just goes up to him, throws him the chain, and he absolutely sort of nails Moxley with it, throws him over the rope to choke him out, but he escapes. And I thought, oh my god, what the hell? Because I thought
Yeah.
the moment that the chain came into
I
play, I
thought that
thought
was it.
they're gonna do the thing that they did before,
But
in the
I like that Moxley learned. That I thought too, but I'm like, I appreciate that Moxley learned how to reverse it. But then Hangman fucking nailed him
yeah.
again.
But
And yeah.
also nailed him again. Moxley escapes. Gets back into the ring. Hangman does a buckshot lariat, and Moxley lands right on the bed of nails. And like, oh my god, because it's not like the whole trick of the bed of nails is if you spread your weight evenly and you do it slowly, it doesn't hurt, right? No, there's no way in hell that he could have done that, quote unquote safely. He absolutely stacks it onto this bed of nails, and it looks absolutely fucking brutal. And then Hangman grabs the chain, grabs Moxley, hangs him over the top rope again. And I want to put over, by the way, Moxley sells this.
Yes.
This is the best selling maybe I've
Pure
ever seen.
pure panic. Like, and
Yeah,
somebody pointed this out on Blue Sky that Moxley, or maybe it was somewhere else, but somebody pointed out that Moxley did not go out stoically. He did not go out confidently. He went out like a fucking bitch.
yeah,
He just went out like a guy who was scared, and like that is such a cool thing of him to do for his character.
yeah. Like it sort of dawns on him. He gets choked for sort of 5 seconds, and he's like obviously grasping at it, and then it hits him like, oh my god, I'm choking to death. And you can see him like his legs are going crazy. He's clawing. He's desperate. He's fighting for his life, and he does that for a good sort of 10 seconds. His face is turning purple, and you can sort of see the moment where he's like, I just gotta, I'm dying. I'm literally dying, and he taps out. And the moment that he tapped out, 30,000 people screamed. I screamed. I'm sure hundreds of thousands of people all across the world
I know
screamed
I
in
did.
unison
Yep,
because
I
Hangman
absolutely
took.
did. I was like, he did it. He did it. I was screaming my ass off. It was just incredible.
It was magical. It was pure pro wrestling magic. And there have been. I never particularly. I know some people were very worried. Oh God, are they going to stick the landing? I never particularly worried, but at the same time, there's always that lingering doubt in your mind that, like, stupider things have happened. Not necessarily in AEW, but in wrestling history, stupider booking decisions have happened, and
Right.
it's like, but everyone has their flaws. Could this be, the stubbornness of saying no, it will be Darby Allin? Could it be like, the sort of, well, John Moxley has been there's been an uptick in business because John Moxley has been champion. Do we maybe sort of stick with him and see if it keeps going? Which, by the way, I'm no business analyst, but I have to believe that there would have been a significant. I may not have watched on Wednesday if Moxley had won. I may have been in a thoroughly deep depression. We probably would have, genuinely, we probably wouldn't have done this review if John Moxley had
Yeah.
won. I would have been that
Probably
crashed
wouldn't
out.
have.
I would have been that crashed out. I would have been like, nope, fuck it. They don't
I think we
deserve.
skipped one pay-per-view because of a Death Rider win already. So
Mm. Yeah, we didn't do a Dynasty review because I was just so despondent and sort of I just need to take a few days from wrestling. Um, but they stuck the landing and they did it perfectly. They did it in one of the greatest matches of all time, for my reckoning. And just, I love professional wrestling so much. I love all elite wrestling so much.
Yeah,
It
I can only second that. There was so much wrestling this weekend, and I'm glad that there was actually real wrestling as well. There's
yeah.
definitely some of that too, but there sure was a lot of other stuff going on suspiciously around the same time. But
Mm,
this is what matters. This is what truly matters overall is Hangman getting that redemption, being the guy in charge. Now, please, for the love of God, Tony, give him a better second run. Give him some really good challengers. You've got Osprey and Swerve and MJF waiting in the wings. You've got other people that can fight Hangman as well. You could have Darby at one point. There are so many people that Hangman could fight. I hope he gets a good title reign, but most of all, I'm happy he won, and I think that's the most important thing. Regardless of whatever happens from here on out, I'm glad that he won. And it was an incredible, masterful ending.
yeah, 100%. It was magical. It was pure pro wrestling magic. The whole, and I want to put over as well. The focus will obviously and deservedly be on Hangman. The redemption arc of his character. The genuine happiness that he is champion. But let it never be forgotten that the foundation of this magical night, and the build up to this, the strength of feeling for Hangman can only be done because of the work that Jon Moxley has put in over the past 9 months.
And they truly did stick the landing. I know that there are some bumpy parts. The very beginning was amazing, and then the follow through was a little shaky, but then the follow up after that was everything post Cope was really really good, even if bummed out from losses and stuff like that. I just felt like they handled this so well. Ultimately, this was a super solid reign for Moxley. Probably not his best, but really good. And I'm just so happy with how everything landed, how everything resolved. It feels good. It was done well. I'm ultimately very happy with this pay per view and what we got. I spent, because Kim and I split it. I spent $25 for over 6 hours of it, not even including the 0 hour, over 6 hours of entertainment. I mean, it's just ridiculous the amount of bang for your buck that I got. So
and
I'm very
they
happy.
and they don't do that move very often, but they did do it in the match they had. I did notice that. Sorry, that's very nerdy of me, but I do love
Wait, you did
I love the
what?
Young Bucks. They did the more bang for your buck,
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
wrestling move, and
Yes.
they don't do that very often anymore.
Yes, they
But
don't.
but anyway, that's neither here nor there because, yeah, this and just to briefly talk, we said about that wasn't where I cried. I cried when Hangman got the key to the briefcase. And by the way, he had a tough time opening that briefcase
He
because he
really did.
clearly he had a musical cue. If you notice, he had a musical cue in his music that he wanted to hit, and he was struggling. Obviously, he'd gone through a 35-minute death match. He'd lost a lot of blood. He'd gone through barbed wire. He'd gone through glass. He'd had his head spiked on a bed of nails. I doubt that his fine motor functions were anywhere near 100%. So he blew a cue to get the briefcase open, but he gets it open and served two purposes. One, he waited for another musical cue to get that proper moment, but also he was just so overcome with the emotions of it, and I have to believe that's genuine because
Yes.
Hangman's a great actor, but it takes a special kind of actor to be able to cry on cue, and after a match like that, that was genuine emotion on him, and he gets the belt out of that briefcase, the belt that we haven't seen for 9 months, and he lifts it over his head, and I just started sobbing because pro wrestling is just absolute. When it's done right, it is the perfect form of storytelling, and AEW, for all its relatively minor faults recently, but they've been rough patches in its history. When the time is right, they do it better than anyone I've ever seen, and the time was right. and I can feel myself getting a bit choked up over it now. God, I love pro wrestling.
Yeah. Didn't even say anything about this match online. I just posted my ratings and just said I love pro wrestling. I there's not much else to say about this match. It was a masterpiece and probably my new match of the year, and I don't see how anyone tops this. Just
No,
an incredible year for pro wrestling, and we're only somehow barely over halfway done with the year. So just, so happy for that AEW really landed all this and really excited for the future and what's going to come.
yeah. At some point during, at some point, at the end of the year, I intend to do polls amongst friends of the podcast and stuff like that, and us as well, as to wrestler of the year and match of the year. That we will we'll do a special episode. And at the moment, I cannot envision anything possibly topping this for match of the year. So we'll see. But on that note, on that glorious final note of Ghost Town Triumph, we'll leave it there. We've been talking for nearly 2.5 hours, as befitting a pay-per-view that went 8 hours.
I was like, we should try to get it done by 10 so I can watch Prestige, which by the way only just started because they had a delay, so it worked out. But but you're like, oh, we'll be way done by then. I was like, all right, well, it's 6 hours long, so I'm interested to see how that works out. But yeah,
Whoops.
this was an amazing pay-per-view. I'm so happy we got to talk about it. I'm so excited for Dynamite.
Yeah, same. Like, oh, I'm so excited. I'm so excited for the future of AEW. I'm so excited to see Hangman get the reign that he deserves.
Yep.
Oh, magical, magical, magical moments. Anyway, so we will be. That'll do it for us. Thank you if you have stuck it out. Thank you for listening to us ramble about wrestling, this thing that we all love. We'll be back on Thursday for a Dynamite review. The first of the Chicago residencies will be very interesting to see, what that looks like and how that goes forward. I assume I will be joined once again by you, Dory.
Yeah, almost certainly, unless that kill order finally goes through from you.
I mean, honestly, I'm asking for a refund at this point. Like, fucking BlackRock, man. They're fine in working in other countries, but you ask them to do anything in America, all of a sudden there's laws and shit. Fuck's sake.
Finally, a reason for the wall I can get behind. My life. But anyway, yeah, excellent pay-per-view. I'm really excited to see what happens next, like I said, and where everything goes, because there's so many directions for so many programs. But like Adam said, thank you so much, everybody who listened to us ramble for the past 2+ hours. Really, really happy with how it went, and we will talk to you soon.
Yeah. On that note, like, subscribe, share it about if there's anyone that, hopefully a lot of new fans of AEW have been made over the last few couple of months, and especially after this show. So if you think that anyone new might be interested in hearing two randos ramble about this this thing we call pro wrestling, then let them know that we're here every week. But on that note, thank you very much for joining us, and goodbye.
Bye.